Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Pattison Ave Phanatics show. Huge day today. It's the 5-year anniversary of the start of this nonsense that we do every Saturday. With me, as always, Joe Marks.
What is happening, Philly?
Jane Scorza.
Happy anniversary, fam.
Frank Finnegan.
Happy anniversary. Glad I'm included.
Damon Salim.
Good morning. Happy anniversary.
And one of the OG Pattison Ave Phanatics and the head of the Devereaux Sports Universe, Pat from Ambler, is here with us. What's up, brother?
What's up? Yeah, first of all, I want to say, I've been banned from this show 199 times. I've been banned. So in that case, guys, whose pants are bound to come down, whose Red Rockets out, and that's 200. I'm out.
I texted Pat at 6:30 this morning. I said, my Red Rocket's in the air today.
I had a conversation with Tom the other day, and every time he would tell me about the show, I would have some inappropriate, immature joke to go with it. So I'm ready for every income.
Nothing better than Susie.
Yeah.
Morning, Norm.
But listen, guys, I definitely, like I said, I want to thank Tom because when I, before Devereaux Sports, this here is my home. This is how I got started. Tom's the one that gave me a mic, and he met me about 5-6 years ago at a fan fest, and he asked me to hop on. So here I am.
That was the first person to ever recognize me as Tom from the Pattison Ave Phanatics.
Yeah.
And it still to this day blew my mind. And when he was like, "Oh, I'm Pat," I call on the radio, Pat from Ambler. I'm like, "Holy shit, Pat from Ambler."
Yeah.
Mike Laro checking in. What's up, Michael? Thank you very much.
Mike, how are you?
Beat it, Mike. Beat it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Mike.
I'll see you tomorrow, you chump.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's getting thick in here already.
He's trying to move and beat by the trade deadline.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Oh, God.
Turtle dope.
Leave that alone.
Look, I was on call last week. I missed some fervor.
Nah, I'll explain it to us. It's all good.
Yeah. It's all good.
We're celebrating. Today we celebrate.
He was upset that we didn't say his name right.
Oh.
Okay.
Laro.
How do you say it?
Mike Lombardo?
Laro.
Mike,
Laro? All right. I want to make sure.
And he's serious, too.
Joe, look at your face.
Look at your face, man.
just enjoy the donuts, pal.
Oh, my God. So,
PMS show?
he's been saving that for a week. Guarantee.
Hammer just dropped.
Oh, my God.
Don't shoot at the camera.
Yo, don't pull me into this
Yeah.
radio.
Hammer.
Pull me into the radio.
Listen,
Yeah, you got any extra rusty nails?
I will reiterate what Donovan McNabb said. Keep my name out your mouth.
What was that, Will Smith?
No, that was Donovan.
That was Donovan.
Will Smith said it too.
Yeah. The different way.
When Tio said it,
Will Smith
Said keep my wife's name
Yeah,
out
he
your mouth.
slapped his wife's name out of it. Well, listen. So 5 years ago, 3 friends sat at a dining room table over a phone and recorded. Mike says, "Move and be now," and recorded what was the pilot episode for the Pattison Ave Phanatics show. And to give you guys a background of where the Pattison Ave Phanatics came from. I was walking to an Eagles game from FDR. It's the Lakes, as us people from South Philly call it.
Right.
And I had been drinking many adult sodas at said tailgate. And we get to Broad and Pattison. And I was with a few buddies, and I said, "Oh, we're Pattison Ave Phanatics." And the name never left my brain for all those years. And our friend Will and Joey and myself got together, and I told them, I said, "Listen, I want to start a podcast. There's guys out there that are just like us. They're just fans. They're doing it. I would like to do it. You guys, I respect your sports knowledge and opinions as much as anybody else." They were in, and basically the rest is history. Not too long after, James joined. He was one of the first guests like in studio we ever had. And James just fit right in.
Yep.
James, I think it was like maybe 10 shows in. James was a member of the show, and has been here ever since.
Well, I got to say, Tom, it's been an honor to say I've been willing to work with a great group of companions like Will and Tommy, like obviously you, Tommy, and Joey and Rob and Pat and all. I mean, it's been a fun wedding. Let's make it more funner as the next 5 years. Let's make it happen.
100%.
And
And
another 5 years happen.
we've had the opportunity to be on different networks, the Wildfire Radio. Those a gentleman who we'll have on a little later on, John Crichton's going to join us on the lines. And
Nice.
John, I sent him a message on Twitter. I'm seeing that he had put out a note saying, if you have a podcast, you'd like to, maybe take it to the next level. I reached out to him. He gave us a chance, and we literally have never looked back.
And I'll add to that, but John gave us an opportunity, and then he puts us in Big Daddy Graham's studio, who Big Daddy Graham, God rest his soul, a legend in this city, and we get put in his studio. I'm going, this is just euphoric. I'm like,
I mean, he's on my, all sports talk shows have Mount Rushmores. It could be a potato chips or favorite Eagles of all time.
Right.
My Mount Rushmore of sports talk radio show. The first head there is Big Daddy Grant.
Yeah.
And at the Wildfire Christmas party, I got a chance to sit and talk with him.
Nice.
And it was just mind blowing. And and so anyway, real quick, I want to get back because we have Jim Chesko coming on in about 10 minutes. As we further progressed, and I told Joey, I said we should create a panel, a show of guys who call into radio shows who are comfortable talking, have their opinions and stand behind their opinions. And three of the people sitting in this room right now are guys that I've heard call into WIP and 97.5 The Fanatic. Pat is Pat from Ambler. Damon is Damon from Philly. And Frank, where are you, Frank, from?
I'm usually from either from Collingdale or on the Turnpike.
Right. Frank on the Turnpike is where I remembered you originally.
And it's funny because I was listening to WIP not but two and a half weeks ago, and on Marks and Reese they mentioned, it'd be kind of cool to hear a podcast where there was like a bunch of listeners that they were talking about, like OG Wade and Chuck from Mount Airy. And I'm like, we already did it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
But I mean, think about it. It's the guys that have them. People that are calling into the radio station all the time are the most passionate people, and they want to get their opinions out there. Why not compile a program that has several of those people? And I've called in, but not with the regularity of these guys. I mean, I hear Damon almost every week.
Yeah, Damon's on all the time. I hear Damon all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Gargano loves it when you call.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Well, he talks hoops with Gargano, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's back and forth. It's, me, I get like introspective with Gargano. He'll have a topic, and I'll come up with a spin on the topic, and
I see Gargano's on my Mount Rushmore guys
absolutely.
Absolutely.
I feel like he's the guy I'm standing next to at the deli counter while I'm waiting for my lunch meat to get by.
Yeah.
We're just shooting the breeze about, whatever's going on in
And-
sports.
And what happens is, we said it a minute. So TK and I met. We both worked at FedEx on a truck, and then
I see. My buddy Will.
probably my face.
Heisler was out.
He was out,
He was
yeah.
working with you guys, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He was at
and,
Martin Brower.
and he grabs me one day, and we're in the truck working. He said, "You're the guy that calls in." I'm like, "Yeah." And so what happens is, and I remember being invited to Wildfire Studio. It was the week before Carson was coming back. And I was like, "TK, could you get me a copy of that?" And so what this does, it's therapeutic. Like when the Eagles lose and or win, or the Sixers lose and or win, and the Phillies flies, and in these playoffs, you just got to talk to somebody, man.
Yeah.
You got to, and a text isn't enough sometimes. Just like, I got to get this out. This is on my mind.
Yes.
And sometimes
I know
a 2-minute
exactly what you're
phone
saying.
call isn't enough.
No.
So you blessed us with this, man. So I'm grateful that when you
The
called me and
only-
said we're doing this, I'm like, bet, I'm in.
The only thing that would make this better, I mean, it's awesome as it is.
Mm.
The only thing that would make this better is if we were at a bar drinking beer doing
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
that
would be
was
sick.
that
would be sick.
That's been kicked around.
He's like, no. That's
No,
thank
that's
you
been
very
kicked
much.
around.
He's like, thank you very much for that one, Frank.
Now,
That's
I
been
would,
kicked around.
but their corner pub sports.
Yes.
Those guys were on Wildfire forever.
Right.
I give them all the credit. They literally do their show from
Yeah.
sitting at the bar, not
Yeah.
at a table at a bar and restaurant.
Right.
At the bar,
Right.
drinking, and I give those guys, a ton of credit. There's some OG podcasters.
Right.
The gentleman we'll have coming up in 8 minutes, Jim Chechesko, is an OG podcast. But now, how Damon and I met, the exact story. We had a bunch of new guys. I was in management at FedEx at the time. We had a bunch of newer guys come in, and they were basically just going around the room introducing people. And hi, my name's Joe, my name's Steve, and he was like, "Oh, hi, my name's Damon," blah blah blah. And I went, and in the meeting, I just went, "You Damon from Philly, calling WIP?"
Well, actually, I say West Philly, but
yeah, I know. But you were like, "Yeah," I was like, "I'm riding with him today." And literally never looked back to his friend ever since. And Dave, did we not chop it up all day long?
We both Gemini's, the whole shebang. So.
When you get together, and you'll have to excuse my voice. This is literally Eagle Saints. I screamed my face off, and I'm paying for it still.
Dude, I just healed my throat right before my wife and I left for Florida. I was messed up. The Cowboys game and the Saints game.
Yes.
She was sick.
See, I always said that on this show you're not getting paid passion. You're getting genuine, heartfelt passion.
Real.
Absolutely.
Do you remember the first time we
It's
met?
not a reality show. It's real.
Yeah. The first time we met, Tom?
The first time we met in person was at Will Heisler's funeral.
Yes, it was.
And
At the
Will
cemetery.
and I met Will at FedEx.
Got you.
And Will he was a phenomenal sportsman. And God rest his soul, he passed away.
Very young, 42 years
Very
old.
young.
Wow, terrible.
And Frank met Will at Will's next job after FedEx, and they became best of friends.
We were over the road team for a year.
Wow.
You know,
And
that's
Frank
wild.
and
6
I,
degrees, man.
before I knew Frank's, sports prowess and all that stuff, we basically said we owe it to Will to become friends, and we've never looked back.
Now
Frank's
now Will's smiling down.
That's dope. I
he
like that.
definitely is,
Yeah.
because he was a huge supporter of what we do here.
Yep.
Wow.
And he would always text me.
If you ever want to see Will, you'll have to go to the 10th Green at Downingtown Country Club.
You could also just
Some of his ashes are there.
in my living room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you go in my living room, I have a picture for me and him at a friend of ours' wedding. Deal checks in, says, "You guys are thankful, but so are the listeners and viewers. A staple of Saturday morning for so many people. Thank you.
Oh,
We
you're
love
welcome.
you, Deal.
Yeah, we love you.
brother. We love you, man. We really do appreciate anybody and everybody. Look, have you ever clicked on a video, see my ugly face, and then clicked off? I get it. Thank you.
And by the way, I said this to Tom. By the way, we've gotten ripped off nationally. And Pat, you'll understand this. When we first started, Tom, I called Tom as soon as I heard this. When we first started, Tom would send out a video to just give a rundown of what the show would be and tell everybody to tune in. And he would be like, "It's Monday. You know what that means?"
Yes.
And
Yes, sir.
you know who stole that?
Who's that?
AEW. Because AEW goes on Wednesday nights. He says, "It's Wednesday night. You know what that means?" I'm like, "That's Tom's line. No, we got
making
ripped
twins
off."
here.
As much as I'm
Give me
flattered, I'm
encouragement.
pretty sure they did not steal that from me, Joe.
But
So he's like, look here,
I
man.
want to piggyback what Damien said. This is therapeutic, and like I said, when the time when me and Tom met, and he asked me to come on board, I was all about it. I mean, I was just again, being a caller of Mike Missinelli's for so long, and I was like, man, like Damien just said, a minute's not enough. A minute.
No.
I said I need to get this out there. I got a lot of stuff on my chest, whether it's good moments or bad moments in Philadelphia sports. I said I need to get into a mic. I need to spit.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know that feeling. I mean, I feel the same way. Yeah, that too.
Got some bars. Pat got some bars already.
But I mean,
from Ambler, ladies and gentlemen.
but I felt like I need to get out there. And when Tom gave me the opportunity to come down the Wildfire, again, you're in there, you see Big Daddy Graham, you're meeting some cool cats, and it's just like, wow, this is for real. You feel for real.
Yeah.
And I got there and I got did it multiple times, and then again, Tom's pointing me in every which way direction where I want to go, and and again, if it wasn't for him, I don't know where my podcast Devereaux Sports would be. I mean, he really helped me get my podcast off, and like I said, I'm always going to be faithful to home. This is home. this is home for me.
And
So
it's always look, if you've sat in on here one time, it's home. If you've clicked on us one time and listened, it's home. You know, when I tell anybody and everybody, and look, I have no misconceived notions that we're any bigger than
Yeah.
anybody else. Everybody out here that's doing it, they bring their own fire and they bring their own kind of special twist on things. But when I tell people like we are you, that we are just some guys who really like need to get sports in our faces and ears out of our mouth as much as possible.
Right.
And we love it. And like, we're guys who, sports talk junkies. We listen to it, we live it, we breathe it.
but yeah, and,
Pat don't spit, he swallows.
See, I was steering away from
Oh,
that.
You
I
know
was
what?
going to say it. I
You
just
guys-
I can't
shut
believe,
up, Mike. I'll deal
I
with you
was
tomorrow.
behaving
I can't believe you put
myself.
that on the screen.
Yeah,
I
sure.
was behaving myself.
Yes.
I
Right.
real quick.
Yes. I'll deal with Mike tomorrow. That idiot.
I was
Yeah.
And look, out of I may have come to Joey and Will, but everybody makes this thing go. I mean, we're to the point now. I have a job where I'm on call, once a month or so, and I can't be here. And this thing runs seamlessly because of James, because of Joey and Frank and Damon and all the guys here. Pat, at one point, had more shows than WIP and 96 Fanatic combined under the Devereaux Sports
Yeah.
tree.
That's true. I mean, look, I worked hard. I got just like here. I came across a lot of people. It one led to two. It started originally with me, my buddy Eddie, and my cousin Dave. 83 started me, him, and Gus, and then it just multiplied. I met the John. I met and it came across, and here we are. But like I said, it comes back to square one. It comes back to here.
Yeah.
It comes back home. Why? Because Tom showed me the ropes. Tom schooled me on how he did things and how he worked, behind the scenes. It's not, and Tom will call you in a hot minute to help look out for you.
Yeah, I could pick it back on what you
Yeah.
said there, Pat, too, because like I was in that same exact boat with Tom. Like I actually had a phone call one day. I came back from CSB. I actually graduated from Connecticut School of Broadcasting around maybe March of 2018, and I guess I was getting my final. I think I was going in for maybe one more demo to see if I can try to get my name out there and stuff. And Tommy calls me up and says, "Hey, I got this Pattison Ave Phanatics show, and I would like you to come and just to be on the show one time." And a week later,
Right.
Hold on one sec, boys.
Nice.
On the line with us right now, one of the OGs in this podcast game. And he's nice enough to join us this morning. Jim Chesko. Chet, good morning.
Hey guys, how the hell are you?
Oh, we're
doing great,
morning.
man.
we're here. Thank you. You are the first guest on our 5-year anniversary show, and you're one of the first people that I thought of to reach out to. And I was hoping that you might have had a little time for us.
Absolutely.
I don't have the whole backstory on how Philly Press Box Radio started. I was wondering, where did you come up with the idea for this? Because I mean, it's a phenomenal name and concept, but I often wondered kind of how you got started with that.
Back in 2013, Bill Furman and I, my radio partner, were writing some stories for another blogger, I guess, and we guested on his show for a few times. And then early in 2014, Bill said, "Hey, why don't we turn this into our own little podcast?" And he had already come up with the name Philly Press Box Radio that he was writing some of his own stuff with. So we decided to keep that name and use it for our own podcast. And we began doing that April of 2014. So we're coming up on our 9-year anniversary.
Wow.
So yeah, we used that, kept going with it. And hey, Tom, did you tell people how you and I met?
I was just about to do that. So this is Fan Fest. What was that? 5 years ago or so? 6 years ago?
I believe it was August of 2018, if
Okay,
I'm not
so,
mistaken, because
yeah.
that was when I was at Wildfire and you were at Wildfire.
So I'm in line, and if Joey remembers, I had 5,000 of these business cards that I handed out. Every single one. I'm sure 3,800 of them ended up in urinals and on the floor. But so I turn around in line. I forget which line we were in.
But me and you were in a line to get like
Yeah. And I
chance.
turn around and I hand this gentleman a card and I say, "My name's Tom Kelly. I have a podcast on Wildfire Radio called the Pattison Ave Phanatics." And Chet goes, "My name's Jim Chesko. I have a podcast on Wildfire Radio, and I'm like, oh my God, Philly Press Box, and so like that's I literally met Chet, but had already known about him and just didn't know who exactly he was, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
Wow, so-
So there you go. 5 years ago this August.
Right, and now and that was kind of the catalyst for us, that springboarded like my ideas and stuff like that, because FanFest is such a phenomenal idea,
Yes.
and to be able to go there and network, and obviously guys like Chet and guys like, so we'll have some other guests from Fourth and John on later today. Those guys were there as well, but. So to get now, Jim, I've seen pictures. How long have you been in radio? I've seen some pictures of Penn State and did you work at Penn State radio back in the day?
I did indeed. Yeah, I was a speech communications major at Penn State way back in the 1970s. I'm much older than I look, guys. What can I say?
Younger
So yes,
than me,
I
Chet.
graduated from Penn State in 1979. Believe it or not, worked at WDSM as it was known then, the campus radio station. I think it's WPSU now, and worked in radio since that time in various spots: Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, New Jersey. Mostly in business news, a little bit of sports color commentary for like Princeton basketball along the way. And I'm still working in that full time now doing business news, but the highlight of my week is really doing the Wednesday evening Philly Press Box radio show with Bill. As you know, we get great guests on there all the time. So we have a blast doing that.
Most incredible lineups. You have better guests than the big stations do, in my opinion. It's just phenomenal, some of the guests you've had, and I guess the connections you've made throughout your career. But since this is a sports talk radio show, and in my opinion, the most polished voice in Philly podcasting is on the line with us right now. Damon Salim, in my opinion, has the best voice in Philly podcasting. But Chet, we have a playoff weekend coming up here in the NFL.
We sure do.
And literally, we're almost a half hour in the show, and this is the first thing about sports we're actually talking here. But who do you see coming out of this weekend, and who do you see the Philadelphia Eagles kind of matching up against next week?
Well, focusing on the NFC, I of course think San Francisco will beat Seattle. I don't think anybody is picking the Seahawks to win that game, but I'm taking the Giants to upset the Vikings. The Vikings have not played great down the stretch, as you guys know, and I think it's only a 2.5 or 3.5 point line or whatever. I'm taking the Giants to not only cover, but to win that game. And of course, that would mean the Giants would be the Eagles' opponent next weekend. The other game, Monday night, Dallas and Tampa, the game that nobody wants to root for either of those teams, but somebody has to win. I think Tampa Bay, Tom Brady's going to win that one. He's 7-0 against Dallas lifetime, twice with Tampa, 5 times while he was with New England. And I don't see him losing Monday night because the Cowboys are going to do cowboy-like things in the playoffs.
Excellent. Actually, Joe Scorza, who's here with us as well, and I are on the same page. I think the Giants are going to maybe not shock the world, but I think they're going to be the Eagles' first round opponent here coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and as long as Jalen Hurts can throw the ball a little bit, which I think he will be able to, and as long as Lane Johnson can get on the field and even be 80%, I think the Eagles would handle the Giants without a problem in a playoff game.
Agreed. And then, then it would be on to the NFC Championship game. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Right, 1 week at a time.
Absolutely. So we have a bunch of guests coming on today, but I do have one more question for you, and I'm going to ask every guest that we get on the line here. What is your first sports memory? What made you fall in love with sports? It's a kind of a loaded question, and I'm sure you can go on for quite some time, but there's a reason you do what you do, and we're sitting at this table here behind these microphones. For you, what was it?
I go back to the 1960s. Again, I said I'm pretty old, and just watching TV sports with my dad. And it was Phillies baseball in the summer, Eagles football in the fall, and the 76ers as well. I was a big Wilt Chamberlain fan as a little kid. And for my 10th birthday, my dad took me to see the 76ers with Wilt Chamberlain. And so, yeah, I got to see Wilt play with the
Wow.
Sixers live as a young boy,
Wow.
and that was a blast. But Richie Allen was my favorite Philly in the 1960s, and he was, appointment TV when he came up to bat, because you knew there was a good chance that Dick Allen was going to hit one completely out of Connie Mack Stadium. So it was those kind of things. Just watching TV sports with my dad, I said, "Yeah, I love sports."
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I think we can all relate to that. I saw a lot of heads kind of nodding as we're going here. Chet, last question. Favorite radio personality in Philly sports?
Ooh, are we talking like a sports talk show host?
Yeah, in that ilk, I guess you could say. I mean, you can go Comcast Sportsnet, Prism back in the day, whatever you wanted to do. But yeah, like favorite sports personality in this kind of world we live in.
Okay. This may surprise you, but I'm going to go with Dee Lynam.
That does not surprise me at all.
Because she's a friend of our show. She's been on Philly Press Box Radio, I think, 15 or 16 times over the years. Always is happy to do it. But even before that, I just loved her insight on Comcast Sportsnet, as it was known the whole time she was there, and just a super nice, knowledgeable person. So I'm going to go Dee Lynam. How about that?
Absolutely, that's a great answer, Chet. Thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you, man.
You can catch Chet and Bill Furman, Philly Press Box Radio, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. I'm still the same time, right, Chet?
Yes, sir.
All righty, and you can catch that on our EOP network, YouTube, Twitter. Please go and check those guys out. Chet, thank you so much for your time, my brother.
This week, by the way, Mickey Moore and Dee.
Nice. Very
Another
nice.
old favorite.
Awesome.
Happy 5th anniversary, guys. All the best.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
Chet.
Take care.
Appreciate
Take care.
it.
Thank you.
Take care.
What was your first moment, Tom?
My first moment was sitting. I remember watching Schmidt's 500th home run. Now, I'd been a fan of sports prior to that. It was, and a big fan. But what really, like that I guess come to light moment, just sitting there, laying on my living room floor, my head on my hands, watching the game. And the Phils are at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
And Schmidt just cracks one, and the Harry Callis call. There it is, number 500, the 500th home run for Michael Jack Schmidt. And my dad jumping up and down, and I'm jumping up and down. And there was a lot of sports memories that involved my dad. I'm the fan that I am because of him. He was the fan that he was because of my grandfather. My first Eagles training camp, Joe Scorza takes me to. My first Eagles game, Joe Scorza takes me to. I go on. My first Philly sporting event ever was Phillies Mets at the Vet, and my dad took me to that game. And I remember bringing my glove, like, oh my god, could I possibly catch, a home run or something like that? And for me, it's always been like the sports. You can find common ground with people you have nothing in common with. Through sports. It's something that can, like, if you know and you get it, you get it. And our town, we're blessed to live in this town. You get a bad rap because people don't know their facts. You get stuff brought up. I swear to God, it's like being married, and stuff that you've done from 10 years ago get brought up. When you do something wrong now, like throwing snowballs at Santa and all that.
I had the conversation yesterday. The guy at my job, he's a 49ers fan. He's from Reading. And I go, that you had no allegiance to Philly? Well, no, he explained. Then he goes, well, you guys threw snowballs at Santa and you cheer with Michael Irvin. I had to go back. I said, first of all, I wasn't even around with this Santa. I said, but the real story is the guy was a drunk and he was on the field, and the real Santa didn't roll up. That's incorrect. That's another myth. But the Michael Irvin one, I saw that game. That you were there. They started
right there,
going on Dion. I said no one went off on Irvin.
No, absolutely not.
The story about snowballs and Santa Claus isn't that the guy who was Santa Claus was drunk. The guy who was supposed to play Santa Claus showed up at the stadium drunk.
That's the one.
Okay. And they couldn't let him go out there.
Okay, that was the one. I got it. Okay.
So they got this skinny kid who was like a $110 soaking wet, and they stuck him in a Santa Claus suit. Right
Yeah.
now, none of you guys have ever been to JFK. None
No.
of you.
Well,
yes, I
did.
have.
Okay.
I saw the Jacksons victory.
So-
tour.
remember-
1983, my parents took me to Michael Jackson, my first
Yeah, the
concert I
victory
ever went
tour.
Do you
Yeah, I
remember
was there.
how
That
far a distance it was from
Yes.
the field to the stands? There
Yes.
was literally a track that ran around
Yep.
between the field and the stands. So they put this kid in a car, and they gave him these little plastic mini footballs, right? Philadelphia Eagle footballs to throw into the stands, all right? And he couldn't reach the stands. and
my
and the
God.
fans,
this is
the
great.
fans to prove that this kid had a candy arm, started throwing snowballs back from the stands, and they were hitting him.
Oh man.
So it was like, you can't reach us, but we can reach you.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
It was a total screw up on the Eagles' part that they put this kid in there. And I mean, we're never going
Is
to
he
live
still
it down.
alive?
I don't know.
We need to get him.
He would be a phenomenal
Because
guest.
he needs to like that's for not see. I mentioned the drunk. Not
I'm sure he's in witness protection.
Yeah.
He-
And,
that drunk ruined that kid.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
he ruined the history of our
No,
town.
I
he
think
couldn't
it's
wait
back
till after-
Connor, 'cause that's low hanging fruit that people.
It is
He
low
couldn't
hanging
wait
fruit.
till after he did the Santa.
And you know
the
what?
Santa gig to get messed up.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
come
know
on,
what
man.
Michael Irvin and that kid have in common? They could have used workman's compensation for
There you go.
personal injury, criminal law, motor vehicle accidents, workman's compensation. David Cherry Esquire, call 610-565-0300. That's cherryinjurylaw.com. Tell them the boys at Pattison Ave EOP sing.
I wanted to
Yeah.
get into a story that about me and Chet. So about a year or so ago, we are on a road on the Philly sports trips up to Brooklyn to watch the Yankees Phillies game.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you,
And-
Ken.
And I literally sit next to Chet because I just wanted to pick his brain. Like you said, he's one of the OGs in this game.
100%.
You have
Yes.
to try to, in order to get better, you always have to keep growing. And in my mind, it was like the only way I could keep growing is by really just trying to pick the guy's brain who's doing it at such the high level that Chet was doing it at. So I sit next to him on the bus, and it's a 2 hours and so change, bus ride up to New York. So I'm picking his brain. Freddie Burns comes over to me. He's like, "Are you torturing this poor gentleman?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I am, but he hasn't kicked me out yet." And to be honest, I learned so much from Chet on that bus ride that like the amount of information that I had going into that day and the amount of information that I had leaving that day, I mean, I could have wrote a book on it.
Nice.
And that's the kind of guy that Chet is. That's the kind of guy that that's the kind of people that are on this network. That's the kind of people that are in this town.
I was about to say, yeah.
Is that it's about giving of yourself in order to give back, and that's one of the reasons why when me and Tom and Will started this, we're like, look, we got to be real transparent. We cannot be like trying to go in there and play like radio hosts. We got to be ourselves.
Right.
And that was really one of the reasons why I feel like we took off, because being ourselves, I mean, me, Tom, and Will were just three knucklehead sports fans that if you hit the right nerve, you're going to get into an argument. And that just made for good radio. So for me, with Chet, I want to thank him for what he's taught me along the way.
Chet chimes in. Hey, Joe Marks, checks in the mail.
Yeah,
That's
my
Oh, wow. And here's Chet with just the
Wow.
fill-in Santa. Frank Olivio died in 2019
Oh,
at the
wow.
age of
Big Joe-
69.
Big Joe was just saying, he said he
Wow.
was just, okay,
age
okay,
of
wow.
69. Oh,
Wow.
he died young.
Mm.
My first moment that I became sports aware happened with my grandfather. Now, I grew up in Fairmount by the Art Museum, and not too far from Connie Mack Stadium, which was at 20th and Allegheny. My grandfather was a barber, and a lot of the guys in the neighborhood worked as ushers at Connie Mack. So he cut all their hair. So my grandfather would get tickets to the game, and they would be bleacher seats. But I always sat in box seats. My grandfather always got us down You know, he'd see one usher, take us down. So the first game he took me to was against Pittsburgh Pirates, and it was me and my cousin Joe. And he says, "Come on, I want to take you somewhere." And he takes us down a set of steps into this really dark tunnel. I'm like, where the hell was he taking us? Right? We get to a desk. There's a guard there, and it's before the game. And he said, "Hey, can I take my grandsons out there?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, sure, John. The game's not on." He says, "There's a couple guys warming up. We take 10, 15 steps down the hall. There's light coming out. 3 steps up. I'm standing on the grass, Connie Mack Stadium.
Ooh, nice.
And Tony Taylor is warming up right in front of me. Wow. Tony Taylor, to this day, is my favorite Philly of all time. Okay, my eyes were this big. He came over, shook my hand. How you doing? You know, my grandfather did that. Go in the stands, and my favorite baseball player of all time, who was deceased, it's Roberto Clemente.
Frank, can I pause that
Yeah,
story?
sure.
We have another guest calling in on that call line right now. Caller, you're on the air with the Pattison Ave Phanatics.
Tommy.
John Crichton from the 215 Live Show. What's up, my brother?
Tommy, how are you, sir?
I'm good. So let me give John a little bit of an introduction here.
Oh, Jesus, here we go.
Let me throw some rose petals at your feet. Go get a cup of coffee. It'll be a minute.
I'm glad this is nobody's seeing how I look right now because I'm be blushing, and I don't have the time for that.
So I did earlier in the show kind of give folks a little bit of a background, but when we had just started the Pattison Ave Phanatics, I saw on Twitter they basically said, "Hey, if you guys are looking to take your show to the next level, send me a message. Maybe we can do something." I sent you a message. You got pretty much right back to me, and we just started from there. And I've known John now 5 years. We started at Wildfire Radio with John Crichton, followed him to Yellow Jacket Media. John has he's been in this business for a long time. He's done everything you can do in this business, from just having a show to running your own studio to and everything in between. And it wouldn't be an anniversary show without having you on with us today, my brother.
Oh, Jesus Christ! What do I do? Do I send cash or do I?
No.
Lunch.
Certified check or money order.
Primo's
we
order.
take Venmo.
Yeah.
We don't need to.
I'll settle for
Is
Primo's Hoagies.
that Pat Bernard laughing in the background?
Pat Bernard's here. Yes, he is. I think Pat's.
What's going on,
I think Pat's eating another donut. So we'll give him a second here. So
we're used to Pat having something in his mouth.
Whoa! Yikes! Getting hammered by the hammer.
Rails show off.
Oh, that's that. So John, do me a favor. Can you tell the folks that are listening? We got a quality amount of live viewers as I'm looking here. You tell them how 215 Live started, how you and Frankie came up with this idea. It was one of my favorite shows for sure.
Yeah, no, and Tommy, I appreciate that intro. That was very nice. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the same really as everybody else, to be honest with you. I mean, Frankie and I are known for and we're I'm very humbly saying this, but we're known for kind of taking over parties and get-togethers with our nonsense. Sometimes him and I just go off on the rails, and 15, 20 minutes in, we look and everybody from family to friends and stuff are just watching us in awe. How can you two carry a conversation, just the two of you, for so long? And we've been doing, I've known Frankie since I was 10 years old, so we've been doing that for forever. So, phone calls that we would have, it would be 45 minutes to an hour in, and we're like, man, we're really carrying this kind of conversation, this kind of, content for this long. So, and not to bore you, but we've always kind of started things out of passion, but never really followed through. I mean, we actually started shooting a movie. We got pretty far into that. We wrote 50 pages of he wrote a horror book, and I tried, there was a lot of things that we would do out of passion, but we've never carried it through. So when we decided to do a podcast, we thought there's no way we'll be all fired up about a month for it. And we'll go out and spend all of our money on equipment. And we'll do all these things, but we'll never really follow through. When we did that, we started to see like, wow, we can really do this. So just that way, kind of starting it, and then I kind of leaned on some of the people that I was fortunate enough to meet in my law enforcement background, and getting people on the show, getting different guests. But we were only doing shit out of like our basement. We weren't. We started just like everybody else did. We got a very fortunate phone call one night from a friend of mine that said, "Hey, listen, I got a buddy of mine that does radio at 610. I told him about you guys, and he wanted to see if you guys wanted to do a call-in." So we're like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome." Well, here the call-in turned into an in-studio appearance, and it was only supposed to be like a 5-minute segment, really just to talk about our website and the show. That individual is now, known. Obviously, everybody knows Joe Kraus from Jacob Media. He brought us on. We did like a 5-minute segment with him, and he loved us. We ended up being a 15-minute segment every week with him. And really, just long story short, we started our show there at 610, and that's kind of where we took off. But we're very fortunate along the way to find people that had given us opportunities that we probably wouldn't have had if we did it on our own.
Absolutely. We're same boat, and it's the people, and I think you know me well enough. I will give 100% of credit to where it's due as far as coming through, the ranks and learning the way of this business. And you are the first name. It's you, and it's the Fourth and John guys are 1 and 1A of the reason that I'm sitting here right now, and the gentlemen around the table are sitting here with.
Well, listen, I tell everybody, Tom, and I always appreciate that compliment because you've said it numerous times. But I tell everybody that when I started the business end of podcasting, when I went to Wildfire and started that business part of it, my whole thing was I wanted to get people. I didn't care about money. I didn't care about how much it cost to do a show, anything like that. I hated that part. My whole thing was I loved giving people a platform to talk about whatever it was they wanted to talk about, not necessarily sports, whatever it was. One of my pitches where you can come in, if you're passionate about yawning and you want to come in and yawn for an hour, then do it. Like, I don't give a shit.
He's
like
not lying.
Whatever
He's
your
not
passion
lying
is,
at
right?
all.
So, and it's to you, Tommy. Like I always told you this. Like I saw from the very beginning just your passion for doing it, the way you hustled. One of the best stories that I like to tell people when I was selling podcasting was your story about what was it? I believe the check cashing robbery and the Pattison Ave card was in the shot.
Joe Marks. Yep.
That's on me.
Right place, right time.
I told people, I said, there was nobody, and I will tell you this, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show. The Pattison Ave Phanatics alone as a group are just amazing at pushing the brand and being passionate. But I will say that there was nobody that I worked with that hustled more or that was more passionate about their brand and what they were doing than you were. So for me, like, I just gave you the platform. But you guys, Tommy and the group and everybody that's been involved in it, and like, you guys had to do it. It's not successful unless you do it. You got to do all the work. I just give you the platform. So I appreciate that compliment, but you're where you're at. And your boys are where you guys are at because of your hard work.
Oh man, that's
Appreciate
that
Thank
for
you,
sure.
It's fun.
All right, so you're right, Frank. It isn't work. It's fun. It's a labor of love, as they say.
It is.
Yep. So, John, while I got you on here, this is a sports talk show. I'm going to bounce one off you. I know you know your sports across the board, but I know how big of a Sixers fan you are. This team is currently constructed. How far of a run can you see this team making in the playoffs if they remain healthy throughout the rest of the season?
Who's the Sixers? Is that a basketball team?
Oh God, don't start.
You'll get Damon all fired up.
Not today.
All right, so here I'm gonna give you my 100% honest opinion, and most of the guys from your show, including you, Tommy, know how passionate I am about this team.
Yeah.
covered it. I'm fortunate enough to write about it, be at press conferences, all that stuff. I was a season ticket holder in '97 all the way up to 2015, so I've seen a lot of bad basketball. Okay, this team, I will tell you right now, number one, I have not watched a full game yet this season.
Wow.
Not from start to finish. Okay, I've tuned in and have been completely annoyed to the point where I've turned games off. And I will tell you right now, they will not get out of the second round again. I love Joel Embiid. Frankie will come on here and tell you that Joel Embiid is vaulted to his favorite all-time Sixer. But I will tell you right now, like, they will, and I'm going to hear a lot of moans and groans, I'm sure, from your guys, but they will never win a title with Joel Embiid. It's not because of him. He's an all-world player. He's one of my favorite players ever. It's not because of him. It's just it gives me the Iverson vibe, where there's a player so good and so dominant and so important to 99.9% of the team that there's for some reason you can't construct the right team around them. I don't know what it is. You know, we were all hyper about Harden coming in. You know, the moves that they made, the bench that they brought in. I understand the coach is bad, but so is Brett Brown. So how many coaches do we put around this guy? How many players do we put around this guy? Is it just going to continue to be the same thing? Maybe they'll get one flash in the pan season where they go to a final like Iverson did, but I don't see this team being successful in the Joel Embiid era, other than just winning a lot of games and being one of the top four teams in the conference, and maybe doing some damage in the first round, and you get hyped up and go, okay, this is the year. But I really don't see them going deep, specifically this year. This team this year is just completely frustrating.
John,
They go on an 8-game winning streak, and then they lose 4 or 5 bad games, and you're just like, this is how it's going to be. It's just how it's going to be.
with the trade deadline coming, do you see the Sixers picking up trading or picking up somebody in a buyout that could change a little bit of your mind from where it is now to where it could be?
I don't think so, because like you have to get an impact player.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to get an impact guy, because you know when you had Ben here, you knew what you're going to get out of Ben, right? You're going to get 12 to 15. One night he might go off, score 25 to 30. You'll get, you know, double-digit assists, double-digit rebounds. It's the same with Harden. He's going to go off. He's going to score 41 game. He'll look amazing for a week to 2 week stretch. 25, 30 points a game, triple doubles. The other night with the 21 assists and all that. But those kind of players around Embiid aren't consistent enough, right? He's a star. James Harden's a star, 100%. Joel Embiid's a superstar, 100%. But what kind of player can you get at a deadline with this team currently constructed the way it is that's going to make an impact enough to go, okay, yeah, now the Philadelphia 76ers are the team to beat. They just don't. They don't have there's nobody out there like that. Right now, your Robin 2.0 is Tobias Harris. Can you win with that guy having to score 15 to 20 points every game?
I just got to chime in. I have to chime in for a second. I have to chime in. In all due respect, I noticed you said you didn't watch all the games. I disagree with you. This is Dane, by the way. And I only say that to say,
of course,
this is a different team. This is a very, very, very different team. I got to shout out Richard Jefferson last night on ESPN, who has the Sixers as one of the teams to win. He has them top 3 in the East. And I only say it to say, when you say you haven't watched a lot of it, you're missing some things. And I'm saying this to say, Harden is playing some of his best basketball. And someone pointed out last night. I forget his name, from Chicago, but he said that Harden, because they compared him to Kyrie, well, Harden can drop 40, but Kyrie's only averaged not even 7 assists a game. Now Harden's averaging 12 assists a game, and he's taking his scoring down. That tandem with he and Joel is the best tandem in the league right now. And Joel, that 12-foot jump shot that Doc has allowed him to make, that's a layup. And in totality, young boy Maxi's come in and he's only going to get better. And this is the 10th game I think the starters will play together collectively. So in all fairness, and I get everyone's frustration. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. They have to come out of this second round. But to say that they're not going to win with him, that's like saying, the Eagles aren't. That's a strong prediction that I can't say it like that.
I knew Dane would.
No, and I get it with everyone with this situation. The guy's been hurt, playoffs, they don't get it. I get it. But really, this team right here, this is something. They have something. I don't even think they need.
Let me tell
they
you
need
why,
an impact player in the
why I
trade
say it.
deadline.
And I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I do.
Mhm.
Right. And I've watched enough to where I do agree with you. But the statistics that you're saying are 100. You're 100% right. And the tandem and all that stuff. But because Joel Embiid is so good,
Mhm.
because he's a superstar, he's one of the best. He's a top 3 player in the league, superstar, legitimate, bona fide, right? Anybody that they've had, like him and Ben Simmons, were statistically one of the best duos in the league. So it's when and statistically, if you look at when him and Maxey were at, when Maxey was playing at his peak before he got hurt last season and to start, they were, when they're on the floor together, were statistically one of the best duos in the league. So I agree with you there 100%. But that is the kind of thing that it can carry you, but it doesn't give you that push over the top to where in a 7-game series against the Bucks or against the way that the Celtics are currently constructed,
Right.
or even, let's be honest, the way that the Nets are currently playing, in a 7-game series, you're going to be able to beat any one of those 3 teams. I mean, they go out and they have trouble with the Raptors when everybody's on the floor and they're all playing together. They have trouble against teams like the Pacers when everybody. So to put them against those top 3 teams in the East, I 100% agree with you. But that's statistically
I
the
will
best
say,
duo is because Joel Embiid is so good.
But here's the thing: I will say this, and I was thinking it, and then they talked about it when they did the show 97.5 with all the guests.
All-Star Day.
All-Star Day.
Great day,
And someone pointed out, and I'm like, this is it. If you look at Joel this year, his shots, he's scoring 30 effortlessly. And the reason is James Harden. When Ben Simmons was on the court with him, Joey's boy, Joe had to struggle to get those points. Now it's like, oh, Joe, go here, bam. Joe, go here, bam. So I'll say this: we want to ride with the birds, but I'm going to say this: the Sixers going to give us a really, really, really good surprise this spring,
I'm not only going to second that name. I mean, guys, I do a crystal ball thing every once in a while.
No, you don't say.
And I've been watching the Sixers the last, I guess, month and a half, and I've told you that the season doesn't start till Christmas. Right? I saw something in the Sixers this leading up to Christmas because of the injuries that I haven't seen in the past 4 years, and that's continuity on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers are going to the finals. There's no doubt about it in my mind. The Sixers are going to the finals. And
who said that? Who's talking?
This is Frank Finnegan.
Frank
from the Turnpike. One of the callers called in the other station.
By the way,
I can't give you a technical breakdown of why they're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I just see a different team that I've seen the last 4 years.
Technically, when you
I totally disagree.
When you technically
I just wanted to know who was talking, so I knew who was going to buy me lunch when that doesn't happen.
Oh, you know what? That's a bet, brother.
Hang on. So,
Joe,
I'll put it for dessert.
Hold on, I got to keep the show moving.
I'll put it for dessert.
John, thank you so much for calling in. I got a lot of guys on the rotation today, but
yeah, please do.
thank you, thank you so much, brother. Much love to you, and hopefully we'll be talking to you down the road, my friend.
Hey, you never know. Maybe something's in the works.
You never ever know. All right, my brother. Thank you, John Craig, 215 Live. See ya.
Keep it up.
Yes, sir.
That guy.
Make your point.
So, for Frank, you have to give. I've got to give Frank a lot of kudos because he stood on a platform that no one else
I
on this
remember.
network stood on.
That's
And our
right.
old studio.
And he deserves to get all the praise in that. And that was he predicted in July, I believe.
Yes, it was right after Robbie got the
Right.
job as the head.
Right.
You know, it took
So
over
June,
for.
June. I was
right.
going to say June, but I leaned
No,
a
it
little-
was a week after that
Okay.
I made the prediction because I saw the way
I
the team
wanted
was
to
playing.
hedge my bets and say July just to be
Yeah.
safe. But in July, Frank predicted that the Phillies were going to be in the World Series.
Yeah, we were there.
Everybody was
We were
like,
there. We were there.
kidding?
Yeah,
We
they
were
were
there.
they were actually how many
Couldn't
games?
see it.
They
Couldn't see it.
No.
They were 8 games under 500 at the time. They were eight games under 500 when I made that prediction.
So if Frank's saying the Sixers are going to the, I'm not.
I got a second prediction.
I
I got a
totally
second
disagree.
prediction for you too.
You totally disagree.
With everyone at the table, I totally
Okay.
disagree.
Well-
And then, and this, my take on this is, I've seen and I listen to you, Dame. James Harden, great player, great facilitator. He does it all. He has the pullback jump shot. We know what he can do from the perimeter. But I also seen a playoff James Harden, and he's MIA just like Ben Simmons, and the supporting cast of this team. I can't buy into Anthony Milton, and you
How
know,
could you not?
because
Yeah.
of the perimeter shooting, you need that for playoff time, and I don't see this team having that. And you need that.
Hold up, Pat. Seriously. Like you don't see him hitting those threes and driving, and he reminds me of a play. Even though he's from LA, he reminds me of a dude from North Philly, man. His game,
Yeah, he
his
does.
game, his
He
game.
plays nasty.
He plays nasty, and
Oh,
is
yeah.
a heck of a defender.
And when
Heck of a defender.
your coach already has scheduled losses in the schedule.
Go down this pipe again.
Before you start
Pat's
spewing
flipping the show on its ear. I love it.
before you start spewing propaganda,
Uh-oh.
get your facts right.
Oh, here we
Okay.
go.
Here
You
we
got
go.
that. You got the
Here
hammer.
we-
Thanks, Pat. Now I
Good,
got
I got. This is what I love.
There's one thing about you, Joe.
I'm
You love facts, and not the facts of life. Just
The
facts.
You take the
six-
good,
I
you
like
take
the
the
bad,
good.
I like
Then
the
you
good.
got to laugh.
But the 76ers, percentage-wise, are one of the tops in the NBA in three-point percentage.
Regular season.
Look it up.
Regular season.
Yeah, but we.
No, but right now.
Regular season.
Right
Right now, it's
now.
regular season.
Right. But
Okay.
my point is this. What three-point shooters did they have in the playoffs last year? Korkmaz?
And
Where's
Niang.
he at? Nowhere.
Yeah.
Matt, there's a reason
It's a
why
different-
Frank makes a valid point
Yep.
about the people we've put on
Yep.
this bench
It's a
that are
different squad.
actually viable
Okay.
three-point threats like Melton, House, Niang's now stepping up. These are viable guys, not for Con Korkmaz and Shake
Joe.
freaking Milton.
Joe, real quick, real quick, because part of what we do here is give shout outs and credit where credit is due. Out of the Box Sports Network writes in, congrats on 5 years. Thank you for paving the way. Inspiration to myself as we were 7 months with 200 shows. Thanks for taking the time. Many late nights helping me with my StreamYard. Paul Spencer from Out of the Box Sports. Paul, thank you for the shout out, brother.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, there's people that come through this, man, and I'm happy to work and have worked with all the great podcasters that are out there, Paul included. You got the Sully squad jumping in, talking to Melton. Looks like the dude from Friday who got his chain taken, but he can shoot. Pat, LOL. It's like,
That's hilarious.
phenomenal.
That's hilarious.
Phenomenal. Paul, thank you for checking
Yeah, that was
in,
dope.
brother. We
That was dope.
appreciate
He
it.
just got that.
Check
flair
out
about
those
him,
Out of the
brother.
Box Sports Network shows, man. They got a great lineup over there as well.
Joey,
I understand your fervor and I understand your fire, where you're coming from. Okay. I've never heard somebody explain the Embiid situation, this whole thing
Carousel?
with Embiid. I've never heard somebody explain it quite like John Crichton did.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm saying it intrigued me.
well, he's not incorrect.
No, he's not.
He's not.
Right.
He's not incorrect, but I'm not talking about correct or incorrect. I mean, when I made that Phillies prediction last year, it was a feel.
Right.
I mean, I've been around long enough, seen a lot of teams play, and I get a feel from the squad right now.
Can I ask you a
And
question real quick
and
about
that's-
your field? And I'm being serious. Let's go back to the Phillies. If I recall, when Girardi was managing the team, it felt like a a lull, like they were just.
They didn't want to play for him.
Yeah, and so when they make the move, all of a sudden everyone's lifted, right?
Right.
And I don't speak for you because you're going to continue, but I feel this with the Sixers, like Doc's buying into them and they're buying into Doc.
You know what? I think,
and he's listening to his, he's listening to his assistant coaches. Those assistant coaches are speaking a lot more than in the past.
I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you something right now. It ain't Doc. It ain't
Same
Doc.
to
They're gonna
It's
win.
the assistant coaches.
No, they're gonna do it in spite of Doc.
It's like
because I think the guys that Morey,
KG and Paul Pierce said that they used to ignore him.
Yeah,
you heard that?
no, I didn't hear that.
I'll leave that for another day.
This is a vibe. This is a vibe I'm getting.
And I don't paraphrase.
When I watch the games and I watch these guys play, and I mean, there was ample opportunity for the bench guys to play when the big three were out of the lineup.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I saw something there. I was like, this looks different. This has a different vibe to it. These guys who they brought in all look at the guys who are at the top of the chain on that team and go, we got a chance. And I think they're all on the same page. And I think it's in spite of Doc.
I give him credit because of the injuries, he was forced to play those guys.
They need one piece,
and then
they need one more piece,
and then
to make this work.
And then he made guys earn it. Like Shake Milton's, like, I'm not leaving this lineup.
Well,
he's playing. He's like, you're not taking me out. Milton's obviously playing like that.
Right.
Whereas last year, our bench, Joey, was Korkmaz, Niang, DeAndre Jordan / Drummond, and Thibault.
Shake Milton.
And Shake. So
Shake
now
didn't get much time last year.
So now you have Melton, Niang, Montrez, right? And then you have Thibault. So now if you notice with the lineups, he's spotting Thibault, meaning I need your defense, but you know what? No offense, fine. But he did. The whole team did defensively. So now moving forward, I have 3 legitimate scorers out there: Shake, Melton, and now Maxey. And he's just getting in the gear with those guys.
And don't look. Listen,
he's just getting in the gear with those guys.
And I'm not going to. And I think you're missing some names because I feel like
Niang. My bad. Niang. Bang bang.
Niang.
My bad. That's my man. Bang bang.
Bang bang. Montrez. Trez has been
balling.
El Capo in the house. Congrats on 5 years, Tom and the crew. Thank you, Chucky.
Go ahead, Pat.
I know it's the playoffs. I get it.
Can I be a wet blanket here?
Nah, speak your mind, man.
That hasn't stopped you yet.
Yeah.
Speak your mind, man.
What happened the other day against OKC?
Okay. Hold up.
That's a snapshot.
Hold up, Pat. You know on New Year's Eve they blew him out, right? Okay. You know they blew. I'm just saying. I got to go on Facebook with people. And OKC prior to beating us blew out Boston. So it's basketball, right? And did the Sixers come out flat? Absolutely. And I commend Doc. He's like, listen, the coaches, all of this, we were horrible defensively. But overall, they have not played like that. To Frank's point, there's a new feel. There's a new look. There's a look like, yo, we belong. We're going to work together. It's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. I mean, it's fine. By the way, they're only 3 games out of number 1 seed.
I think they're one piece. I think they're one piece away.
They might be.
And
they might be.
And it's really because of Shake that they're one piece away.
I know Shake's not your guy.
No, well, it's not that. I mean, Shake's
playing better this
year.
He's
playing better.
Really,
he's playing better than I've ever seen him play.
He's playing for his minutes.
Yeah, he is.
He is. He's playing for his minutes.
More consistent than I've ever seen.
Consistent.
They need a point guard.
They do need a point guard.
They need a point guard, and I mean not a combo guard. They need a point guard. They need a straight point
guard. They need like a Mark Jackson
who can give them 12, 14 minutes a game.
Yeah, that's
it.
You know,
if they get that guy, by the deadline, nothing's going to stop this team. And I'll tell you why Shake can't be that guy, because
he wants to score.
Yes, he gets selfish every once in a while at the detriment to the team. And they get off track when he starts getting that way. When he goes, I got to get mine. I'm feeling it tonight.
Right.
No. You need a guy. You got to pull him back and go, no, we're going to put this point guard in and let him run the squad while Harden's on the bench. Okay, that's what they need. They need that guy off the bench who can pilot the team.
I'm still in the Carmelo
camp.
Just
like we said before, when Embiid goes off the court, you need somebody that can still be a viable big guy.
PJ Tucker.
And do you know where Embiid goes?
I'm going to tell you something about
Hold on.
I'm going to tell you something about PJ Tucker.
Give me 1 sec. You know where Embiid goes when he goes off the court?
Where's that?
To Dolan's Bar.
Oh,
Cellars Ave, Ridley Park, PA. Every Eagles game, memorabilia giveaways, cheesesteaks, wings, cheesesteak, great drink specials. And at Dolan's, you never know what person might show up.
You better get there before the big fella because there won't be any food left.
Yes,
there.
sir. In fact,
I posted on Facebook. You'll appreciate this. When people criticize PJ Tucker, there was a guy. Big Joe remembers this, and Frank remembers, by the name of Mark Ivoroni.
Yes.
That's the PJ Tucker of the Sixers.
Well, I'm going to tell you right.
PJ's a little bit better than Mark.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you about PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker has been around the league long enough to know that he doesn't have the legs to go 82 games.
Right.
Okay. So you're not going to see PJ Tucker play until there's 10 games left in the season. And then PJ's going to go, okay, my turn. And I'm going to tell you something. You get in the playoffs, I want that nasty son of a bitch in the game.
Yeah.
I like what he's doing. He gets the tip balls. He's getting extra rebounds
And
for us.
he's saving himself. He doesn't need to kill himself now because he knows what's ahead of him. PJ's
doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, he is. But he's not pushing himself. He doesn't have to.
I agree.
And he's saving it. I'm telling you, last 10 games of the season, if PJ doesn't make a move with his game, then I'm going to go, uh-oh.
Now, I will say this to Joey's
will.
point. I would like to see them get stronger on the perimeter three-point shot defense. They have to improve upon that, Joey, and rebounding. The thing about them rebounding the ball is a tricky thing. When they're on defense, Doc somehow wants them to get back for transition D. I'm trying to figure that out.
You got to pick one or the other.
Yeah, and but I think to your point, if they can pick up the 3-point defense is going to help a little bit. Because a lot of times I'm like, dude, y'all can't box out. Y'all can't see the guy coming through like that. That does annoy me. I'm not saying they're all, clean across the slate. But you have plenty of time to improve upon that. But listen, man, I really like this team a lot. I'm buying.
I like the vibe.
I like the vibe. I like what I'm saying.
Vibe
I'm saying the bench. And I love when they move the ball, and I expect them to beat Utah tonight. I love that.
When people start talking about Joel Embiid, you ever like on a hot day, you're walking down or you're driving on the highway and you see like the steam coming off.
Yeah.
That's what I see over Damon's head when people start talking about Joel Embiid.
Oh, great. So you know what happens. So you guys are talking about this sport. So my friend Michael, I don't know where he is. We lost contact when I was a little boy. His father used to take us to the arena, Big Joe. I was a little boy and I fell asleep. I was sitting on the floor. We fell asleep. That's how far I go back with ball. When the Sixers would play at the arena once in a while they moved the Spectrum. But one day he says to me, we're going to watch Dr. J. And I said, who's Dr. J? He says, you don't know who Dr. J is? He said, the Sixers just got him. And we sat and watched Doc, and that became my favorite player of all time. I fell in love with sports. I'm watching Dick Vermeil with Big Al Michael, God rest his soul, Al Meltzer, and the Dick Vermeil show. Next thing I know, I'm watching the Eagles play the St. Louis Cardinals, if you will.
Yes.
And I fell in love ever since then. Yeah. And so, I've always been 4 for 4. I don't get it how people can grow up in Philly and not love your teams, but that's just me for another day.
Well, look, nothing against these heathenist human beings.
I don't get it. I don't.
Look, and it's like, I think it's the Eagles fan and the Philly sports fan that just gets absolutely under the skin of some of these people. Hold on. I have on the line, calling and right. I told you guys we have a jam-packed day today, so I got to keep it moving. On the line with us right now, I'd like to make an introduction to one of the founding fathers of the Pattison Ave Phanatics show, my great friend and Joey's great friend, William Lynn. Willie Guns, what's up, my brother?
Hey, happy 5 years, fellas.
Thank you, dude. None of it's here without you, bro. None of it is here without you, man. Thank you. How when I came to you guys, like what were you thinking when we started this whole thing? Were you thinking it won't do anything? It wouldn't, it'll just be us talking at the table. Did you see it doing what it eventually did?
Well, I knew that we knew sports, and I knew that when we talked about it, we had such a great passion that I think that some people would really like it. And to be honest with you, I didn't really care if they did or not. I just wanted to talk sports with you guys.
Dude, and I couldn't have thought of two better people to start this journey with than the gentleman that's on the line with us right now and the gentleman to my right here. We like Will said, there's a passion and a fire that comes from your 4 for 4, niche fans that we all are, that you don't get it from talking to the casual fan. You don't get it talking to the 3-for-4 fan. If you ever notice the 3-for-4 fan or a 2-for-4 fan, they don't seem, at least to me, to have the same fire or psychoticness as a 4-for-4 fan. And
they're one dimensional.
and I say that because I have a lot of love for the 2-for-4s, the 3-for-4s out there, but the 4-for-4 guys always have a special place in my heart, Guns. And you're one of the, like, you and Joey are two of the first 4-for-4 guys I know. We're talking Sixers right now, and we're talking. Because it is the anniversary show. It wouldn't be an anniversary show without having you on here. But we are, we do talk sports. Does Embiid break through this year and win the MVP?
Nah, he's gonna get ripped off again.
He's gonna get
ripped off.
Yeah, I'm already accepting that.
And
he's never going to get it.
And
I
Will,
just love how he adds, he's going to get ripped off. He didn't say
Again.
he's going to lose.
again,
He said he's going to get ripped
because that's
off.
how a Philly fan looks at shit. We're always with a cynical eye. Everyone's out to get us. Nobody likes this. We don't friggin' care. We're trying not to curse anymore. We're not FCC regulated, but we're trying to keep it as PG.
Excuse me.
Nobody likes us, and we don't care. That's exactly how I feel. Do you think? And John, you remember John Crichton from Wildfire? Will, he was on with us a little bit ago, and I asked him this question, and I'll pose it to you: is this team built for a long run in the postseason, as you see it currently constructed?
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
what pieces have you most surprised about this season, and what players on this team really kind of caught your eye so far this year?
Definitely Maxey.
The guy,
Maxey's driving layup, his ability to just create his own shot. He works on his game nonstop. Harden's been helping him out. Harden's been unbelievable. His facilitating, dude. He's been great. And Embiid obviously can score 50 whenever the hell he wants to.
it's ridiculous.
And
at this point.
Tobias Harris's defense, I think, will show up in the playoffs. Plus, you're going to have Tucker, that's a playoff maniac. Like when he's in the playoffs, his defense is unreal.
And that's because
you're going to need offense from him, but I don't know if you'd really do.
But that's because a lot of playoff basketball goes to a half-court game, I think that's where Tucker thrives.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think James Harden's going to go off in the playoffs.
I would love to see that.
I would disagree
because as you know, we have on the show with us one of the OG members, Pat Bernard, Pat from Amblers, here with us.
What's up, Willie?
Pat? What's up, buddy?
What's going on, my man?
So Pat tends to disagree. He thinks Harden is a paper tiger in the playoffs.
He has been. That is true. But I think he found a real team that he actually can bond with.
Guns.
I think he really bonds well with these Sixers.
Norm's checking in on the text board saying Willie Guns needs to come back for a show or 5. Willie Guns always gets a lot of love. So I got off topic question for you, and I've been asking all the guys this too. What is your first real memory that you think that how you fell in love with sports? What to get you to the fan you are today? Do you have like one moment that when you look back when you were younger, you're like, yeah, that's probably when I fell in love with sports?
Watching the Phillies with my grandfather.
And
back in like the early 90s.
A lot of people have similar stories like that, man. It seems like some of these patriarchs and the hierarchies of our family.
You said the early 90s?
Yeah. Just, because I same thing with me and my dad. I would go over to my grandparents' house, and the Phillies would always, if they were playing, they were on the TV. Yeah. Always.
Yep.
And they were always losing to the Expos.
Yeah.
I always remember seeing them play the Expos for some reason.
That big stadium in Montreal, right? That is huge stadium.
Yeah.
Ridiculous uniform.
Yes.
They had a good. Yeah.
Oh, and the Flyers too. The Flyers had a big part in my life because that was the one sport I wasn't really good at baseball, but I really got good at hockey. Like I practiced every day, and I really looked up to the Flyers.
I don't know about good. You were adequate at hockey.
Sounds like someone wants to drop the
Hey,
gloves.
hey, speaking
Joey
of,
knows how good
speaking
I
of
was
dropping
at
the gloves, one of the first times Will and Joe met, I don't know how old you guys were, but they fist fought. They dropped the gloves and fist fought
That
playing
makes for
hockey.
good relationships.
We met later in life, and we literally were just like
We were playing a pickup hockey game, and these two guys just dropped the
Well,
gloves and started
we
going
were
at
young. We were younger, and what
it.
happened
Legit,
was
Pat. That's
we
legit.
were we
That's
were younger,
That's great.
and
I feel like they're now
we
alike.
dropped the gloves, but then later on we met again through mutual friends, and we started talking. I'm like, wait a minute. He's like, weren't you the little redhead that was always hooking me? And I'm like, you were the douchebag that wanted to call a phantom penalty. And he's like, dude, you had your stick around my waist the whole game. And I'm like,
Phantom penalty, huh, Joe?
and I'm sitting there, well,
I
and so
Said you want to drop him to Joe, and Joe's like, "Let's go."
fantastic. Will, one of the first times Will and I ever met, we're playing hockey down, was it Dudley Street or something like that? Will, we were playing Cantrell
Yeah.
Street, and
Yeah.
I'm on a team. We're getting smacked by your team. I'm the only one that scored a goal on your brother Rob, who was a Pattison Ave
Yeah.
fanatic, who is and always will be a Pattison Ave fanatic. I score on a
Yes,
knuckle
sir.
puck of all things. Like so, yeah. Hockey has definitely had a
So y'all were
special
actually,
place.
Y'all, when
No, dude.
y'all won street hockey. It was actually
No, it was on the street.
Oh yeah,
street hockey. Yeah, cool. That's dope, bro.
Yeah, I played street hockey too as a kid. Loved it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Willie Guns. We're rocking and rolling through callers and everything today, but it wouldn't be an anniversary show without you, my
Give us
brother.
Eagles prediction.
Oh, I appreciate
Eagles
it,
prediction.
guys.
Yeah, that's before we let you
Here's
go.
the 5 more. Here's
Yeah.
the 5 more
Thank you,
years.
brother. Yo,
Well, give
before
us a
we
prediction.
before we let you go, what do you think the Eagles
We'll
next
face.
week opponent will
I think it's gonna be the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh, he's a fresh.
I haven't seen enough from Brady to be able to pull this one off. I really haven't.
It's crazy, Willie Guns. This is Damon, man, from West Philly. Everyone's saying like they think Tom's gonna pull one, and like so. Do you have that? Because I have that little vibe, like he possibly can, especially if he gets a lead and Dak throws 2 or 3 picks. Like it's really going to be an interesting game.
Don't let it be a
Well,
one-score game.
he's not gonna be Mike Evans that he's gonna be able to throw it. Mike Evans will get shut down.
Yeah.
Dallas is going to concentrate on shutting him down, and then Brady's going to have to throw it to a bunch of jobber wide receivers.
He's been doing that his whole career.
I mean,
Dallas Cowboys team, if you look at their record, they're no joke.
I mean, Julio
They're
Jones.
no joke, but their secondary sucks.
Julio Jones might get off, man. I don't know.
that's true.
That's Brady's sneaky. Something about that guy, man.
Look, don't let it be a one-score game with 2 minutes.
Yeah,
left and him with the
exactly,
ball in his
Frank.
hands.
Exactly.
Because I don't care who you are. He's going to beat you.
Parsons might be eaten.
Yeah, but he gets that ball out.
Parsons might be eaten.
But he's getting it out at 2.5. They clocked him at 2.5 again at 45 years old. How do you
It's
do
like
it?
I said to Tom.
Old.
But personally, I would rather face Brady. I'd rather face
Yeah,
Brady.
me
I
too.
want to go. I want to knock him out. That'll give my team more momentum
There you go.
going into the Super Bowl, NFC Championship, what have you. So yeah, I want Brady, but I think Dallas will pull it off.
There you go.
I'm never
There you
going to say
go.
Brady's out of a game till there's granite over his head.
And even then, it's zombie
Even then,
Tom Brady.
He lost to Nick Foles. He
Yeah.
lost to
Yes,
Nick
he
Foles.
did.
Yes, he did.
And
went
Eli Manning.
Nick Foles went toe to toe with Tom
We
Brady.
live rent-free in his head because of that.
Yes, sir. All right, Willie Guns. I love you, brother.
All right, fellas. Love you too, man. Take care.
Thanks, brother. Later. And that is one of the founding fathers of the Pattison Ave Phanatics show, our boy Will. On the text board, Dave Yarnell checking in.
Hey, Dave.
Also, always be with Pattison Ave Phanatics. Congrats on 5 years, guys. I was happy to be a part of it. Joey, kiss my ass. See ya. Go, boys, go. I'm the guy who left the show. Remember me?
Dave, we can't.
Wow. Dave, we love you, brother.
Dave,
man.
Dave, we are going to
man.
miss your Phillies
Yeah, man.
analysis.
Dave,
You
Yes,
are
absolutely.
outstanding Phillies analysis.
Love
And
ya.
We just won't
I'd
talk.
love to discuss something with you about that later on.
He did Bronx telling Joey.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Joe, you get a lot of love.
Remember me.
You get a lot of love from people, Joe.
Why do you leave people scarred? I
Look
don't
at his
get it.
face. He knows. Nah,
There's a lot.
we love you, Davey, baby.
Yeah, we do.
So we've had on Jim Chetchesko. I love Chet. John Crichton from 215 Live. Some of you guys might know John, but I mean John holds a special place in my heart. And Willie Gunn's one of the founding fathers of the Pattison Ave Phanatics show, we will have Bob Cooney joining us at 10:30.
Coon.
And we're going to talk a little Sixers with Bob and pick his brain. And then we have the two founding fathers of Fourth and John joining us, Gail Saunders and E-Rock.
Nice.
Will be joining us as well. And to cap the show at 11:30, the Cuz will be joining us.
Nice.
And we'll get to talk to Gargano about Birds, his prediction, he's terrified of what's going on with Hurts right now. If you listen to Anthony at all,
he's a little scared.
He's a little nervous.
I think it's all smokescreen, to be honest.
I'm starting to get that same feeling.
What? And it's just a smokescreen?
Because you never hear Sirianni. I mean, he is as outward as he can be. He also keeps things close to the vest. You know what I'm saying, right? So all of a sudden, he's talking to us about injuries.
Not just
when
Sirianni.
he didn't want to talk to us about C.J. Gardner. We knew he had a severed liver. I mean, a spleen or whatever it was. Kidney, whatever it was.
There's what?
Yeah,
It's like
and then Hurts is
700
talking
years of
about his
collective
injury.
collective sports seasons that we've watched in this room.
How many?
700 years of collective sports seasons that we've all watched.
More than a half a century.
Okay.
No.
But when you put all the sports seasons,
half a millennium.
when you put all the sports seasons together of everything that we've all watched in our lives, we've seen a hell of a lot of sports. I have never, ever in my entire life watching sports saw a coach get on the microphone and go, he was really hurt.
Yeah.
And I never saw a quarterback go, all I could do was throw a towel today. Who the hell does that? Who the hell tells the team that they're going to play? He was throwing a towel. We got this. No, this is all a smoke screen. This is all a smoke screen. And I don't care who comes in here. I don't care. I don't care if
other coaches are playing checkers here.
I don't care if they dig Newt Rodney up and bring back the Four Horsemen. Whoever's coming in here next Saturday is getting annihilated.
I love it.
Getting annihilated.
It's funny. I'm laughing because I'm thinking the same thing. Go, whoa, what is this?
Nobody's ever done that. Nobody says, "Oh my God, it was really, really hurt."
Sirianni doesn't even tell you. He goes, "Well, I haven't looked at the report yet." So Andy will come out, injury that give you the injuries, and then he talks about the game. But this guy gives you nothing. All of a sudden, they give him injury reports,
everything.
What time he's getting his Vicks rub.
You guys ever see True Romance? You ever see True Romance?
When he gets his jazz bath, like
yeah. When what's it called, sitting in the chair and he's telling him, he says, you're telling me a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
you're telling me, you're giving me all this information, but you're not telling me what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's exactly what they're doing.
Great. Pat, is that what you're thinking? Your feelings kind of going on here? Do you think this is all smoke screen?
Yeah, curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy it. Look, again, the X factor, not having Lane Johnson in your lineup is the O-line is day and night. I mean, you see the penalties they take, the stupid stuff that they do. I mean, once you have Lane Johnson in there, if you have him at 85%, you're still good. You still
Did you see the WWF thing he did on?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how great was that? I was ready to run through
a wall back, and he's going to destroy you. Whoever comes out, I'm telling you, this is a smoke screen.
That's why. But like I said, okay, and I see all the G-men, getting themselves excited and all that stuff. They feel as soon as they go through the Vikings, it's going to be a cakewalk down here. And look, and I thought that for a while, even myself included, because without Lane Johnson, I didn't know where Lane Johnson was health-wise, but with him in your lineup, it's it puts more comfort for my man Jalen Hurts to do what he needs to do with the rock, and again it opens up the run game, and that's one thing Nick Sirianni needs to get back to do it. And Shane Steichen, they need to
that's a side pass.
Yeah, you have to input the run game. You have to get at least 50-50 with the run.
Pat, real quick, to piggyback off of what you said about Lane. It was great to hear him yesterday in the interview. He said, "Listen, I felt great. This is even without the medication." He said, "My rehab is going well." Encouragement. Pat, and I've been saying this, would you on the very first play when we get out there next week, call a running play on Lane's side just to break the seal, get everything going, let everybody know we're back. Like the first play of the game on offense, Joe, I'm going to his side.
Well, their first running play might be 12 plays into the game.
Put their DN on notice. It's going to be a long day, brother.
Put the DN on his ass.
That's right.
I'm here.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day, brother. Get used to it.
And listen, if you guys want to go down to the game next weekend, why don't you check into Sherry's Ticket Town, okay? Your Philadelphia Eagles have clinched home field for the entire playoffs. Sherry'sTickets.com has tickets available for you. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use, and there's no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo EOP10. With that said, man, we're rocking and rolling here, boys. I got a lot going on. If you need more of a personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050 or visit their field office at 1382 Namens Creek Road, Suite 1, Garnet Valley, PA. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets, and they're less than the other guys. So please check out Sherry'sTickets.com.
Yeah, I mean, and to piggyback, I listen to everyone's here talking about, what made them a sports fan. And for me, I was spoiled. I grew up in the 90s. You guys know me. I'm a hockey head first. So, I got spoiled in the LOD era. Got to see Lindros, LeClaire, Brent, again, you got to see a great deal of hockey. In baseball, I got to see Dutch play. I got to see the early Charles Barkley's, the Sixers. So
you had the Reggie White.
But
White,
I got a confession, and hey, listen, it might not be in the most popular opinion, but it's my honest what happened to me. I mean, I could have been dropped on my head when I was a little guy, but I was a Niners little guy. I mean, I was a Jerry Rice fan.
It was hard not to like that team.
Yeah, right. So I mean, look, in the 90s, you had two teams that were dominant. You had the Cowboys and you had the Niners.
Yep.
And again, I liked the logo. I liked Jerry, and Jerry was my favorite player at the time. So then, obviously, when I grew up, I got on the green side.
Got yourself together.
Got myself together. I grew up, became mature, and here I am.
So Pat brings up a good point, and I don't know if a lot of people know this about me. Like, I'm I'm 4 for 4, but I like other players, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite players, I got into arguments about this, and everyone knows Doc's but Magic Johnson, who actually beat my team in his rookie year. But I actually have a picture with Magic. He's my guy. I used to tell people, Joe, I would start a team with him before Jordan. I would get into arguments, and I have my reasons for doing that. But my point in bringing all this up to say, I believe you can like other players, right? It's fair. Like Steph Curry's my guy. Like I love,
Roberto Clemente for me.
Joe Burrow's my guy right now.
Kobe.
But Kobe, but Hurts is my guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Joe Burrows fan, but Hurts is my guy, right? And he became my guy because we laid out the groundwork for him that we needed the boxes, and he checked them off.
Every single one.
And he's the guy, right? So I think when people go, I like this team because I had a guy say, well, my father introduced me, and that's fair. But it's like I look at my brother, so both my niece and my nephew. My brother was military.
Gentlemen, real quick. I thought it's a guest-filled day today.
Nice.
With us on the line right now, one of my favorite guys. I listen to him every morning on the 97.5 The Fanatic Morning Show. Hopping on with the Pattison Ave Phanatics for a 5-year anniversary show is Bob Cooney. Bob, good morning.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Good morning. Thank you, man.
Bob, I check in with you guys every morning on the YouTube and say good morning, man. I love watching you guys.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, we sound a lot better than we look.
I've met you. You're not lying.
You are preaching to the choir, Bob.
We got the same thing going on over here.
Yeah. We got the faces for radio.
Yeah,
what's
100
Yeah.
and the bodies too.
What's up, Bob? Dave from West Philly, man. What's going on, man?
What's happening? Everything good?
Everything's good, man. Good. How's everything with the family? Everybody good?
Everybody's good. No complaints at all. Now, how are you guys celebrating on air today? Do we have some Irish coffee flowing?
We had coffee, Bob, but no Irish in it.
The first time I met Bob in person, he tried to get me to go out day drinking with him, and if I didn't have to pick my damn kids up from school, I would have been there, man.
The first memory I have of Bob coming on the show, he heard about our pregame.
Oh yeah,
when we were at night, and he heard about our pregame
over in Wildfire Radio in Jersey
before the show. He's like, "Hang on, I gotta come over for the show just to do the pregame." And I said, "More than welcome."
Yeah.
So I knew this was coming up. I knew this was coming.
So for our anniversary show, Bob, I put a slate of guests together. I don't know if you remember John Crichton from Wildfire Radio 215 Live.
Sure.
John was on with us. John basically gave us our shot over at Wildfire. And then I had Jim Chetchesko from Philly Press Box Radio. I don't know if you know Chet. You might. Then I have Eric E-Rock, Emmanuel, Gail Saunders from 4th and John coming on. Yourself and the Cuz is joining us at 11:30.
Oh, what a lineup.
It is. We're having basically our own all-star day, but it's all guys who have been on our show before and have been gracious enough to join us and kind of give us some insight in Philly sports, man. And we really appreciate you jumping on. I want to jump into something that John Crichton had just brought up, and I want to bounce it off you because Damon from West Philly, loses his mind every time somebody talks about Embiid in a disparaging way.
It's like Giroux with me back
John
then.
Crichton made the point that he said he doesn't see the Sixers winning a championship with Joel Embiid, and it would not be Joel Embiid's fault. He said he is obviously one of the best players in the NBA, all-timer, but he said he equates it to the Iverson effect, where he's such an all-world superstar that they can't find the right combination of pieces around him. What are your thoughts on that, Bob? Do you think it could be something like we had in Iverson in 01 where, I mean, the guy carried a team to the finals and won the first game against the Lakers, but we just couldn't get over the hump because they couldn't find the right combination of player to put around him?
It's getting close. I mean, look at the litany of players that they've surrounded him with. And I've done this on the air many times. I can list like 17 prominent players that they've brought in here to try to balance out what Joel Embiid is. Now, the tough part is, you're exactly right. He is a great player and an unbelievable talent, and he'll go down in the record books as such. But is it a case where it's just really hard nowadays in a guard-heavy league, in a shooting league, to surround a team that is dominated by a big man? And I think coaches have, I don't want to say forgotten how to coach with big men, but let's put it this way. Younger players coming up, how many of them have played with true big men? Even if you go back to James Harden's earlier years, no big man. It's not a big man's game. And I don't fault anybody. I just think it's really hard for them to adapt on, okay, how do you surround a team with a guy that plays, 30, 35 points and 18 rebounds and needs the ball more inside when you haven't ever played like that? It's a conundrum. I mean, I wouldn't want the guy off of my team. I'm just not sure how to surround him. But I will say this, and I brought this up last week. This may be the best surrounding cast they've had with him because I think James Harden makes Joel Embiid play the best basketball that he's played so far.
Bob, let me just to piggyback off what you said. It was interesting last night. I was watching ESPN and they were talking about the Spurs maybe possibly moving their center because teams are ironically looking for some big guys, right? To your point, and you guys talked about this, Bob, when your All-Star day, how, and I've been saying this to my wife, Joe, it looks effortless when he's scoring 30 points. And it's all, I'm not going to say all of it, but a good portion of it is because of Harden. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think James Harden puts him in such easy positions to score. Look, Joel Embiid may score, 3 or 4 points more a game than he did last year when he led the NBA in scoring. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the ease at which he's scoring right now, look how easy it is for him to score. Yep. It's unlike any other time he's had in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And he's scoring. Look at how many wide open jump shots. Not only is he getting on that, elbow jump shot off the foul line, but look how many wide open shots George Niang's getting. Look how many wide open shots Tobias Harris is getting. Mm-hmm. They have 3 guys as of this week that were shooting over 40% from 3.
Wow.
I don't know. To me, that goes directly to James Harden. And I'm not this James Harden praiser and love James Harden, whatever. I loved watching him play when he would come to Philadelphia when I was covering the team. Mm-hmm. But I just think he makes offensive life so much easier for the rest of the guys on the team, particularly Joel Embiid.
Bob, Frank here. Let me ask you a question.
Hey, Frank.
How you doing? I love listening to you. You know, when I'm driving my truck in the morning going up the Turnpike, man, you guys keep me company.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Good
it.
show.
Oh, thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
You're hilarious. I love you guys. So it's not just the front guys, the Embiid and Harden and Maxey and Tobias. I think that the cast of characters behind them have given this team a different vibe, a different feel than it has in the last 4 years. I just think there's a different thing going on that I didn't feel leading up to the playoffs the last 4 years. I just didn't feel it. And this year, I feel there's something different there. Do you get the same impression?
I said this because the last couple of weeks, keep an eye on this team. Because fans are very jaded by the second-round losses for so many years, right?
They are
so that's all people are looking forward to. It doesn't matter until they get to the playoffs.
Right.
Well, I hear you on that. But at the same time, you want to cast your judgment honestly by watching this team. And I see something that's different with this team. I agree with you. Now, here's the troubling point. Tyrese Maxey comes back, throw him in the starting lineup, and I love Maxey. Their defense is hit the shitter now. Like, they're just not playing good perimeter defense.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that it's all Maxey's fault. It's just something different there. Anthony Melton is a really good defender, and he kind of offsets what James Harden doesn't give you defensively.
Right.
Now, when you put Maxey out there, he's a decent defender. He'll try. Your perimeter defense is suspect, to say the least. And we saw it the other night against Oklahoma City.
Right.
So Doc Rivers has an interesting dilemma here. Do you go with a second team that could consist of a Maxey, Shake Milton, and you also have Tobias Harris with that second team, and probably Harden also, because he's a 38-minute-a-night guy. Do you look to go offensively with that second unit and look more defensively by maybe starting Anthony Melton with that first unit? I don't like taking Maxey out of the starting lineup. I love that kid, but you have to think about it. If this perimeter defense is going to suffer the way it is.
Yeah. Bob, this is Joe. So one of the things that I kind of focused on is so many of the different rotations that Doc could use with this team, and you bring up defense, and I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now that the perimeter defense is exposed, mainly because I think Doc is so focused. You got to pick your poison, whether it's transition defense or perimeter defense, because if you try to get out, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to rebounds and second chance points. With this roster currently constructed, there are different rotations that Doc could utilize to make a more defensive front. Thibault, Melton, a PJ Tucker, something like that. Would you think it would be too much if they got up on a team that Doc would try to utilize more of a defensive front as far as a rotation, in order to maybe give people like Harden and Embiid a little bit of a breather?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's trying everything out. Doc talked earlier this year about how, they're practicing a zone defense. And it's been effective for them sometimes this year when they go zone. And they're doing exactly what you said. They're trying to hide some guys defensively, and they're trying to give Embiid and Harden a breather in that, when you're playing zone, you're playing area as opposed to running around chasing somebody. So I think he's trying different things defensively. I don't think their zone defense is very good at all. As a matter of fact, I think it sucks. But I think other teams aren't used to playing against the zone in the NBA. So it takes them a few possessions to kind of figure it out. And then by that time, Doc's getting out of it and getting back to man-to-man. But yeah, I think defensively, they were the number one defensive rated team defensively for a little while there, a few weeks ago. And I'm not going to directly relate it to Maxey coming back because I don't think that's fair. But recently, we've seen it. We've seen what Zach LaVine did. We've seen what Oklahoma City did by putting up 133 or whatever. The defense is lacking lately, and they really have to figure that out. Why? Because while this team can score, you guys know you can't go into a playoff looking to say, "Oh, we're just going to outscore the other team," and the defense will come when it comes. That can't happen.
No.
Bobby, what's going on, buddy? It's your boy Pat from Ambler. What's going on?
What's up, Pat? How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, brother? Hey, Bob, listen, my question to you is, what's your take on Doc so far? Pretty much working up to the halfway point. If you have to give him a midterm grade, what would you give him? Because there's people that, when they play horrible, they're he's the first to be on the hot seat. I've seen him in the press conference, not too far back, where he said, we had a schedule loss and people, lose their hair. But no one praises him when he does a fine job. No one really gives him, congrats on a good team win or anything like that. It's, if there's a good win, it's on Embiid's shoulders. But if there's a bad team loss, it goes on him. What's your perspective on Doc overall?
All right, let me ask you this. Define a Doc Rivers team to me.
Yeah.
Give me what defines. No, I'm being serious. Give me what defines this Sixers team under Doc Rivers. It's a really tough question. Yeah. You're not going to say, "Oh, the defense is what carries them." Oh, you pointed out perfectly, Pat. It's Joel Embiid, right? Can you win like that though? Can you win with one defining player? Probably not.
No.
Is this a defensive team? Is this an offensive team? Is this a running team? Is this a half-court team? I think they do all of those things well at times, but what is their definition? I think really good coaches, and I love Doc as a coach before he got here. I don't think he's been able to define this team yet, because think about it. First year, you have, he's getting used to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Then Ben Simmons last year, your second best player, your all-star player, your point guard decides to sit out. That's hard.
Yeah.
So he has to coach the whole season with that. And then this year he comes in, and at various times you've lost Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid in the first half of the season, yet you're still on pace for about 52, 54 wins, somewhere around there. So if you break it down that way, look, it looks like he's doing something well. What I want to see, and I don't know if he's had a chance to do that, it goes back to what I said. I want to be able to define this team. Well, this Sixers team is this, and that's what other teams have to stop. Or this Sixers team is this, and that's how they stop other teams. Right now, I don't have that definition yet, and it could be very well a case, and I'm not making excuses. I just think this is the truth. It could be a case that he hasn't had the time, in games with the core group that he's going to have to figure it out. Yeah. Or maybe he's not figuring it out. You guys are right. People should be second-guessing him.
Yeah, and the things I do like from him, I mean, again, last year we were all questioning what Shake Milton is, but Shake Milton, I mean, since bringing D'Anthony Melton and all those guys, taking up the Furkan minutes and his minutes, I mean, sure, Shake has been playing better. When Embiid went down last week or 2 weeks ago, you have Montrezl Harris playing a lot better. He stepped into a major role, averaging 17, 19 points a game. I mean, those things, I would say that Stock, motivating those guys into playing better.
Yeah, it could be. They're pros. D'Anthony Melton, when I watched tape of him and all before he came over, he is a really good player, and he's an energetic player. He goes after it on both sides of the floor. That's the kind of guy you want in my book, either coming off the bench or being a specialty starter. Now, it's hard to do that with him because you already have that specialty starter in P.J. Tucker. But, yeah, I mean, if you look at Doc Rivers' past, he's had a lot of really good six men, and he's won some guys some Six Men of the Year awards because he trusts in his second string, and he has the Jamal Crawfords and all guys that come off the bench and light it up. So he trusts that, he likes that, he wants that. Shake Milton's had a tough career with injuries and sicknesses and all of those things. And, when he gets some playing time, it appears that there's really something there. He has to keep it at a consistent level. But, yeah, I think Doc, with this team, he's 9 deep. If he wants to be 9 deep, he can be 9 deep. It has to be, and he trusts his bench. But at some point, it's going to have to whittle down to 8 or 7, when it gets crunch time and playoff time.
Bob, real quick, to piggyback off what you said, and I agree, Shake's been playing well because he's getting the minutes. And we approach the deadline, and you talk about identity, and I heard you mention that on your show, on the Kincaid show in the morning. What do you see, if any, that the team can make? Not a big move, obviously, like they did last year, but do you see them adding an IE point guard or a special shooter and maybe a Carmelo Anthony? Just curious on your take on that, as far as anything that you see them doing at the trade deadline or a buyout.
Yeah, I mean, do they need scoring?
Not really. I think it's more defense or a point guard, in my opinion, that can kind of, like a backup point guard, obviously, that can kind of keep things grounded.
Yeah, I
for
hear
them.
you. I put it out there the other day. I was like, tell me where the holes are on this team. What do you need? And the guys were kind of stumped.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, that's kind of my point.
Right.
James Harden averages 38 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 10 minutes that you're looking for a backup point guard. Is that Shake Milton? Are you comfortable with him with the ball in his hands? And look, the second units, they're not running an offense through a point guard so much as they're running around and scoring points. And,
right.
There's not really schemes or plays that are being run. It's just systematic. Get out there, run, rebound. If B-ball falls in there, he grabs a rebound, get the ball and go, have him fill lanes. That's what they're looking to do. So I don't know. It's a great question because no team is ever perfect. Right. We know that. Right. Few teams are perfect, so they always can use something. I'm just not sure what this team needs.
Here,
like
man.
I said, you have 3
Same
guys
here.
shooting over 40% from 3. You have scorers on this team. You have good defenders in Melton and Thibault and B-ball. B-ball Paul's not a bad defender. He's got to stop fouling, but he's not horrible. And Embiid's a good defender. Like you have a lot of things. I'm not exactly sure what they need.
Yeah.
Awesome. Bob, thank you so much for jumping on with us. We're trying to do everything to kind of make the show go, and you're one of our absolute favorites.
Guys, I'm always here for you. Happy anniversary. And I'm going to go down the shore right now and celebrate your 5th anniversary.
Oh, there it is.
Love it,
Hey,
Bob.
Bob.
There it is.
Thank you so
Want to play
much.
some golf with you sometime? soon.
Absolutely.
You got it. I'm always available. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right,
Thanks,
Bob.
Bob.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, man.
Bob Cooney
Thanks a
from the
lot, Bob.
97.5 The Fanatic Morning Show, jumping on with us. Always appreciate Bob's time.
Yep.
One of the first questions he had when we first brought him on, and he had heard about the pregame, he's like, "Okay, so how many beers did each of you guys have before the show?" And I'm
That
like,
was a good question.
"Yo, it
Should have been
was
Bloody Marys. I'm very disappointed in you, Tom. You should have had a pitcher of Bloody ready for us.
Dude, you know what? I'm ashamed of myself. You should have. I really.
Hang your head in shame.
I should have done something more.
Shame.
And like we were just
Shame.
talking to Bob, and he's taking a trip down the shore. And speaking of trips, Philly Sports Trips, Birds Ultimate Arizona trip, Part 2, February 10th through the 13th, 2023.
Look at that.
$499 deposit, fully refundable, whether the Eagles go to the Super Bowl or not. And if they go and you can't make it, it's still fully refundable. So please head on over to phillysportstrips.com. Tell Vince and the gang that the boys of the Pattison Ave Phanatics show and EOP sent you. And please check out all their other great trips. Philly Sports Trips is top notch in doing what they do.
Hey, listen, I know it's back burner now. Can we talk a little Phillies for a minute?
You got about 2 minutes, and then I got another call.
All right, no, we can save it.
It's going to be one of those days. And I have a caller. I have a caller who just texted me that I'm adding into the mix. That's spur of the moment. So
let's go, baby.
We got
The koozie is getting warm.
Whoa, I'm telling you, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me. Sometimes I got to rule with the iron fist.
Look, man.
When you're cutting a pro talent. You got a show going. So I appreciate everybody riding with me. Everybody that's watching on, YouTube and Facebook and everything. Thank you all for riding with us. It's longer than one of our normal shows.
Yeah, man.
We're trying to. I'm trying to kind of get a nice mix of people. We have a special guest who just texted me, and I'm going to work him in as well. So. If we're not getting as much airtime as we normally would, I appreciate everybody bearing with me. I'm so glad you're here, Pat.
Well, listen, again,
I'm glad you're here too.
It's not a table.
Serious,
It's not
man.
a
We need
table full
different
of guys without you.
And listen, this again.
It's like Nick Sirianni's nephew, man.
Sirianni and I were born on the same exact day.
You get Nick Sirianni now, don't you?
We have the same
I never
birthday,
did.
the same year.
Y'all kind of resemble each other.
Wow.
You never got that? You never got Nick Sirianni?
This is the first I'm being told I look like Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, you resemble him.
You do.
I understand. I got the 44-pound head. I got it.
Now, Pat's poor name.
He wears the different T-shirts and the different.
Pat's poor name is Dick. Put it on me.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, no,
The train went
okay, so now
Off the rails.
off the rails. We got to call an emergency. They're off the rails.
so now I got to add it. So now Mike Laro, my son on his show, calls me Jason Biggs, and now all of a sudden now I look like Nick Sirianni. So I got to add that to the list. Great.
Well, Pat,
If you're going to be a
I would
double,
use
you
it.
got to learn how to say his last name. It's
Sirianni. I was going to Wawa.
That's what I
and work
said.
it.
What's that?
I would go to Wawa.
All
and
I
work
need is
it,
the
man.
visor. All right.
Yeah, go in there and get some free
Pat,
gloves.
I need you to elaborate on something.
All right. Do you need me to pull my pants down?
No,
Okay.
Actually, it wouldn't matter to Joey.
that was optional.
Joey couldn't see it anyway.
That looks so good. Everybody's fair game on this show.
Hey, listen, a lot of people can't see
If you
Joe.
can't hang with it in this
No,
show,
I can't hang with you, Joe.
Dude, you should see the bets because
I
Hey, Pat.
heard.
Gentlemen, hold on. I know it's one of those days, and we got guests just rocking and rolling and coming in right now.
Oh, coming.
Next up on the on the Pattison Ave Phanatics hotline, if you will, is one of the guys who I drew inspiration from, who I followed and was nice enough to let some weirdo who randomly reached out to them sit in on how a professional podcast was done. On the line with us right now, Gail Saunders from 4th and John. Gail.
How you doing, man?
Fine, man.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. This is it's our 5-year anniversary show, and I just I'm pulling people in from, our journey, the Pattison Ave Phanatics journey, and you guys are a pivotal part of our journey. you know, for
the Big Brother show.
That's what I call them, the Big Bro
Yeah.
Show. And for all you guys who don't know, you know, Gail is the CEO of Fourth and John. So what's going on, my brother?
Not much, man. I remember the time you reached out, and I remember at the end of the day, man, it's all about energy, man. Like, you meet people in this industry, and, you know, some people have the same energy, some people have the same, like, what factor that want it, and then that's what you have, man. Like, it's all about that's who I like to work with, people that want to do things and just do it. And you guys have been a testament to that, and you guys been killing it.
Yeah, man, we you know, we're out here on this anniversary show. You'll like this lineup. So there's a Philly Press Box Radio Show. Jim Chechesko is our first guest. John Crichton from 215 Live, old Wildfire Days. Johnny was on with us earlier. We just had Bob Cooney on from 97 The Fanatic. Yourself. After you, and I have these rocking in 20-minute intervals. You know, these are 10-minute interview, 10 minutes of sports talk, 10-minute interview, 10 minutes of sports talk. After you, E-Rock's jumping on with us. After E-Rock, the Cuz is jumping on with us. So it's just it's a jam-packed day. You know, I tell the guys, I had, you know, my idea was, why not get a lot of callers together who call into sports talk, comfortable talking. I have Damon from West Philly, who's a member of our show, Pat from Ambler, Frank from the Turnpike, or Frank from Collindale. And we, you know, we put the show together with, you know, we tried to make the right blend of people. When Fourth and John got started, how did you find that blend of people?
I mean, like when we first started, it was just, you know, there wasn't a lot of podcasts out there. You was looking for the type of energy. I had left NBC Sports when I was doing analyzing the draft, and I kind of wanted to do more. I wanted to be a part of the community. That was the one thing that was more important to me, being a part of the community and giving the Eagles space something different that nobody was doing. I think it's always just important to, like, know your surroundings and be aware of, like, what's out there and what the fan wants. You know, the fans want, and try to feed them whatever they want. You know, sometimes they want something new, and that's what we try to give them. You know, at the end of the day, it's really about bringing people together on our end. And, we met so many great people through doing this, like people like yourselves, and it's inspiring to meet, like, so many, like, great people. You know, like, I often kiss myself when traveling all over the country, and you just remember how I met this person at a tailgate, at some random cookout, just we're at a bar just talking about the Eagles. So at the end of the day, it's like you have this universe of diehard Eagle fans who you can talk to at any given day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. So at the end of the day, man, meeting people like you guys, man, that's the key thing.
Absolutely. And I remember the first time I met you in person, you guys had me up to what was it? Like New Media Studios, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so when you guys let me sit on the show, yes, with Justin producing, and Justin's doing big things now. He's doing his thing. I got a lot of love for him too. He was, one of the first guys I kind of came across in this business. But I remember sitting there, and it was, I think it was in between the Falcons. It was we had beat the Vikings. We kind of punched our ticket. You guys let me sit down. I remember sitting across the table from you, and you were just talking about how you could see it in people's eyes, and you pointed at me. You were like, "Dude," and I could just see it in your eyes, like how bad you want this. And I'm there again. 2017 was the most incredible ride. And when I tell people, I went to the last Wing Bowl ever. I sat in on the greatest Eagles podcast ever. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, started the Pattison Ave Phanatics show. But I'm hungry. I want it again. Can this team, coming? Looks like we're getting a lot of players back from injury. Can this Eagles team get us another ring?
I think they definitely can. I think in terms of, like, looking from within, I think this team is at that point again. That 2017 team when everyone doubted them, except me. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl regardless. Falls to the bowl was my thing. I think internally they have the right blend of leadership, the right blend of talented young playmakers, and then at the head, talking about Jalen Hurts, those guys are all built. The mental side of the game, what he offers to the table, even though he might be a little bit dinged up, he's going to give you everything he has. I think they just have the right blend, and that 2017 team had that right blend. I think in terms of getting to the next level, the coaching staff, while they're young, they really have to bring their A game. It's really about putting their players in the right positions to succeed. Because when it comes to playoff time, you got the best coaches, you got the best playmakers, you got the best quarterbacks you're going to have to face. So they got to come up with the best game plan. But I think overall, mentally this team has the juice and the draw from within. So I think having some players back, like Lane Johnson, Swift coming back, I think those guys are integral to a lot of things. Like Lane Johnson, the guy doesn't get out sacks. I know he's injured, but I think he's going to bring some stability to the right side of the offense as of late.
Go ahead, Pat.
What's up, G? What's going on, brother?
Good, man. How are you, man?
Hey, listen. Again, when I first started doing the podcast, and I was originally with the Pattison Ave Phanatics crew, and I remember meeting you at the Wildfire Studio Christmas party, and it was an honor and pleasure. So I'm with the Dev Sports crew now, but I mean, again, this home will always, Pattison Ave will always be home to me. Tom, and Kelly here has always gave me the honor of getting behind the mic. But my question, in regards to the Birds, where are you in your heart as how far can this team go? Are you feeling that 17 run, or you feel like there's going to be a bump in the road somewhere? As a fault, let me down.
I'm fully backing this team, man. Like I feel like they got a real legitimate shot. It's really comes down to doing the little things. Like this team during the first half of the season, and mostly for the most of the season, wasn't turning the football over, making a lot of plays. The defense was, getting turnovers. So it's really about doing the little things. Because if they start turning the ball over, you see what happens. Every time we turn the ball over, four times, we're catching L's. I think, and the common denominator with all these wins has been Jalen. So we caught a couple L's while he was out. But having him back, I think that really solidifies the room. As long as he's leading the ship, you feel like you have a chance. I think obviously. Obviously, from that Russ was showing, I think he's got 2 weeks to heal. I think if you watch his last presser, he was kind of like he had a certain demeanor to him towards the media. He's like, "That's what you guys want to hear." To a lot of these questions, I think he's got some up his sleeve. I think they're definitely playing into the whole.
I think they're smoke screening too.
Yep.
Yeah, we all said that, Gail.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Smoke
yeah.
Gail, this is Joe. Great to talk with you again. The one question that I have is that I've been kind of going through the last week or so the teams in the NFC, and I've been trying to figure out, okay, which team in the NFC is going to exploit a problem within the Eagles team and their scheme, both offensively and defensively. And honestly, I haven't really been able to come up with much from the NFC standpoint. And I know any given Sunday, what team in the NFC do you most fear the Eagles playing?
There is no fear, but I do give respect to quarterbacks who've been there, done that. Like at the end of the day, like a Brady, a guy who he's seen everything. So in terms of like our defense playing in zone, we watched Dak Prescott take apart a team in zone. So in terms of like I think San Fran, they have a really solid defense. I'm waiting for the rookie quarterback to have a come to a rookie moment. So I think as good as their defense at the end of the day, it's all about defense too in the playoffs too. So I think San Fran has a really tough defense. But then I think their quarterback has not seen the likes of a front like the Eagles yet. So I think the 49ers have a really great chance of making it to the championship round. And I think I think they're the team right now that I've circled on. Obviously the Cowboys and are a team that people are talking about, but they're having issues as well. So I'm not afraid of any team at this moment.
No.
I just think it's the Eagles beating the Eagles. Like,
Absolutely.
you can't beat yourself.
I totally agree.
You know what I mean? Like, and they have not even played their best. Like, again, they really haven't played their best game.
Well, hopefully they can put it together for the next couple.
They've had a couple, the Giants game, but they only had the best game of the season.
Absolutely. Well, Gail, thank you so much for jumping on with us, my brother.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I appreciate it greatly. It wouldn't be an anniversary show without our Big Bro show hopping on with us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Let's continue success to you guys and just keep doing the thing, and we're all going to win at the end of the day, right?
Yes, sir. You got it, homie. All right, Gail. Thank you, bro.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Go Birds.
Anybody ever hear that commercial where it's like, go?
Yes.
Birds, dude,
Yeah, the guy
I die every time I hear that.
He's like the drunk at the back of the bar. The guy's trying to do a show, and he hears "Go Birds!" And he goes, "Yeah, and go Birds."
I shouldn't say this, but you see the commercial with the girl dancing at the golf course?
Yeah, that's
Dude, she's jamming.
That's Paige Sporanic. She can't Paige Sporanic.
Who's Paige Sporanic?
Oh my God! Really?
Dude, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Hold on, boys. Hold on, boys. I'm squeezing a caller in here.
You need to Google that.
I have 6 minutes to get this caller in here, and it's a very special caller. Ladies and gentlemen, on the line with us right now, Edge of Philly's own Matty B.
Hey, Matty. Hi, Matt.
Anniversary.
Thank you, brother.
Hi, Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Uh-oh.
You got 5 minutes.
Yes. This is Frank, Matt. How you doing?
I know who you are.
Matty B wanted to check in with us because he had we wanted to get this bet off his back, he said.
Okay.
B.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm waiting.
All right. So listen,
First
of all, I'm not getting on my knees for anybody.
I didn't ask you to do that.
Whoa.
I didn't ask you to get on your knees,
Matty
Matt.
B, this is a children's show.
Yeah, you animal. I didn't ask you to get on your knees. I just asked you to acknowledge what the
4
this
minutes.
year.
Now, to my defense, I did acknowledge through a written prepared statement that
And I did read that on the air. Yes,
I did not accept that.
Right. Well, and I put that in there saying that was okay because I understood what the parameters of the bet were. I was trying to fit the time parameter in as well.
I got you.
First of all, Frank, my deepest condolences for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you. It never. I've experienced it. It never gets easy, but time does help.
Thank you very much.
Right. So I do acknowledge that Howie, for the 2022 season, his moves have been outstanding. 14 wins, don't lie. I will acknowledge that fact. You were right. I was wrong. So I completely acknowledge the fact that Howie Roseman has done an outstanding job this season.
Should I start the mic?
Yes, shut his mic off right now.
Go ahead, Matt.
Matty B, don't
I
feel
see a
bad.
big butt coming. There's a big butt coming.
Let the man finish his statement. He's got 3 minutes.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I'm done. I finished the statement.
Matt, you were a true gentleman. Thank you for honoring your bet with me.
I know Frank would have honored it if it went the other way.
Absolutely.
You are a man of your word.
Matty B, real quick, and I'm not saying you were wrong, but overall, what is your beef overall, if you will, for lack of a better term, with Howie?
I know what it is.
You just
we don't have enough time if we were going on till 6 o'clock tonight for Matt.
Gotcha.
Matt's got big problems with Howie, and I understand them.
Yes, sir.
Damon, real quick to answer your question, and
this is a serious question. I'm not being funny.
No, I know. I just don't understand how a GM that has such a slipshotty draft record
is able to weather the storm that he has weathered. We lost our Super Bowl winning coach after 3 years of unproductivity. Why does Howie get a pass? Why did he get a pass through that time? I don't like the way we've drafted. We are not, in my opinion, set up for any kind of sustained success in the future. We are a team that's predicated and built on the free agents market and on the trade market, which to me is trying to catch lightning in a bottle season after season. That is not how you win games in the NFL, in my opinion.
Okay, so just real quick, overall, like a lot of his first round picks, people start even questioning Jordan Davis, but he had injuries. So you have Landon Dickerson he stole out of the draft, right? Oh, by the way, he has a quarterback. He has a quarterback that he stole in the second round that people are still kind of scratch their heads about. And of course, Devontae Smith, obvious. So I mean, I get you, but here's the thing.
Oh, and
though.
by the way, we have 2 first-round picks this year.
2 first-round picks, and Matty B, he flipped the team right before our eyes. There's only like 4 guys remaining from the Super Bowl team, and all legit players. So I'm just saying, you're not wrong at certain areas.
They are the 3rd youngest team in football, man.
Yeah, he flipped them. He did flip them.
All right.
Yeah, but look, there's 19 pending free agents in 2023. 19 of them.
Right.
They're not going to be able to re-sign them all.
No.
They probably shouldn't re-sign them all. But
some are going to retire. It's not going to matter.
Absolutely.
But in the here and now, Matty B, he's got us in the mix again.
All right, listen, Matt. I would love to keep you on longer.
Thank you, Matt.
I got E-Rock calling in a couple of minutes, dude. Thank you so much for jumping.
Beat it, Matt. Beat it.
Hey, listen, real quick, guys. On the first series, listen, congratulations on 5 years. I had the privilege of hosting one of your shows. Thank you very much. And
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, man.
Matty was a true gentleman.
He texted me. He was like,
no, he was a true gentleman.
I can't believe that happened.
I worked that in while texting, while interviewing. Look, I'm trying my damnedest.
No, but listen, he's not wrong. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, he honored his bet with me. And I'm
awesome.
My respect for him goes way up to that. That's a hard thing for him to say. That's a really hard thing for him to say.
Al, go back to this broadcast and cut that.
Yes, save that piece.
Cut that.
Yes,
Howie has done an excellent job.
I want that on our show opener.
Yeah, we need a drop. That has to be a drop. That has to be a drop.
But the thing about Howie was so intrigued. Like I can honestly say I've never had beef with Howie. Did I like some of his picks? No, but I haven't said like, no, you know what I mean? Because he got us a Super Bowl, especially after what happened with Chip. He's the one that advocated for Chip, and Chip got him to the closet. That's crazy to me.
All right. So, Tom, how much time do we have before E-Rock?
1 minute.
All right. So before
I'm juggling. I'm sorry.
I know.
Once we get going,
You're the master of ceremonies. You're doing it great back there.
We will, have all our closing statements and be able to kind of bring things up. We'll have a little bit more time in between.
Now you're doing a great job.
Here we go.
Ladies,
hold on.
Ladies
and gentlemen, joining us right now, again from the Big Bro Show, and one of my favorite people out in all this crazy, wacky podcasting thing that we do, Eric E-Rock Emanuel. What's up, my brother?
What's happening, guys? Thanks for having me on. Congratulations on 5 years.
Yes, sir.
If you remember, a certain random gentleman reached out to you about 5 years ago, asking if he could come in and sit on your show, and you were most gracious. We just had one of your, we just had Gail was just on with us. In this show, we're kind of piecing the show together. Of a lot of John Crichton 215 Live. We had Johnny on. Jim Chesko from Philly Press Box Radio was on with us. Bob Cooney, Gail, yourself, and we got the Cuz coming up after you. And how we blended this show together. I asked Gail this question. I'll ask you. Back when you guys started Fourth and John, how did you find the right blend of people? Was it just a bunch of buddies? Did you kind of pick and choose? We have 3 regular callers sitting here right now. Pat from Ambler, Damon from West Philly, and Frank from the Turnpike or Frank from Collingdale. We kind of wanted to we blend the show together of callers and different people. How did you guys find that right formula? Because Fourth and John's my favorite podcast of all time. And I've said this to you before. I'm not, throwing roses at your feet for no reason. It really is because you guys were entertaining, informative, and you were able to keep people interested. So how did you find that right combination of people?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the compliments, and it was an absolute honor to have you, in the studio, and at least try to point you in the right direction as you were getting your own podcast started and getting that rolling. I'll tell you, I haven't been on the Fourth and John podcast in 2-3 years now, but when we started it, getting the right blend was important, and I'll tell you, we didn't get everything right off the bat. At times it seemed like we did, but getting the right blend in the show is absolutely paramount to not only growing the show, but like keeping it entertaining and having a joint vision, right? A joint vision and direction of where you want to go. And you have to have the right people in place, and you don't always get it right on your first try. I was lucky enough to have Gail in my corner, and him and I started it, and there was some cast of characters that came, in and out. And we tried coaching some people up, and some people didn't quite get the direction that we were trying to go in, and eventually just move on. But it sounds like you guys kind of saw that at an early stage, which is great, which is what you should do. You saw it at an early stage, and you started surrounding yourself with the right people, which is important to get something off of the ground, and then you just kind of keep pushing forward. The chemistry between the cast is probably more important than whatever you put down on your show prep sheet for the day. Because if you got the right cast and the right crew and the right vibe and the right energy, and you know how to play off of each other, chances are you can just turn the mics on and go. And that's kind of what people want to hear nowadays. You know what I mean? I'll take a podcast in a completely different genre. I'm a big fan of the Always Sunny podcast. And that kind of started out as them reviewing episodes, telling stories about the episodes. My favorite part of it is when it goes off script and they just talk about their daily lives. And, they already know how to play off of each other. But my favorite part is when they're not talking about the subject matter at hand. So I know this is a little bit of a Nick Sirianni rambly sort of answer.
Not at all.
At least you didn't talk about taco soup.
Yo,
you didn't talk about.
You saw what happened with
Yeah,
Flowers.
no.
Take the taco soup and run with it.
You
Joe.
didn't talk about your Pop Warner coach from back in the day. I mean,
You ever, while you're talking or like in the middle of a thought, realize like, where am I going?
Yeah.
I
Oh God.
and, I pulled the Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni on the show.
No, it's all good. That we tend to go off the rails here quite a bit, but it's okay. And if you're putting a show together, at least for me in my prep, I always leave wiggle room to go off the rails, because that's where you find the gems, like you were just saying. And in my opinion, that's where kind of the gold comes from.
I remember when we first started and we did the show prep, and I would be working on my prep and everything like that. And literally, as we went through the show, I would have like 4 or 5 pages of prep there in front of me.
And you might have got to like a half a page.
We'd only get to like a half a page, 2 pages most. And I'm like, okay. And it's it was still an entertaining show from my perspective and probably from the audience perspective. But
100%.
The pontiff of Philly sports, Mr. E-Rock, it is so good to hear and talk to you again. We had met once before at the Christmas party at Wildfire, and I definitely watch your videos on Instagram, and I find them really compelling when it comes down to your point of view. One of the questions I had for you is going into the playoffs with the Eagles' chances and everything. Is there any team? Now, I put it as far as the NFC. I'll widen that span. Is there any team in the NFL that you really fear facing the Eagles in the playoffs?
Well, I'll tell you, the AFC, I'm just like you. I usually like to exclude the AFC and have excluded the AFC from any talks, really, when it comes with the Eagles, because when you take a look up and down at their schedule, right, numerically on paper, it might have ended up a harder schedule than a lot of people realize, but I don't think we've had the test of, let's say, a Kansas City Chiefs or a Buffalo Bills. There's no such animal in the NFC. Therefore, it's hard to gauge the Eagles against the NFC, but just or the AFC. Just talking about the NFC specifically, Listen, there's not a team that this Philadelphia Eagles team can't beat in the playoffs. But there's also not a team in there that I don't feel like if the Eagles get caught on a day like against Washington or against the New Orleans Saints, or they don't come correct, or they don't play their A game, or they don't have the energy for whatever reason they can lose to any of them. And I think that's what makes this playoff so exciting is that when you take a look at the bracket, okay, Seattle wins, we play Seattle. I think we match up well against Seattle, especially against that run defense. All right, but if the 49ers, who likely will win, handle their business, and we're going up against maybe the New York Giants, who are playing Kirk Cousins, who knows to, lay an egg in the playoffs in prime time when the lights are brightest, and I wouldn't trust that guy in the postseason whatsoever. Then we get the New York Giants. I love that matchup. They're going to play you tough, third time in the NFC East, but I think we can win that. And if Minnesota wins and San Francisco handles their business, then we get the winner of Tampa Bay and the Cowboys, which, that's a couple tough matchups. There's not a team that scares me. I don't look at the Cowboys and shake it in my boots. I don't look at the 49ers and shake in my boots. I'm not scared of anybody, but I do realize that this Eagles team is going into the playoffs a little ice cold, a little flawed, a little banged up, a little injured, and a little bit with a lack of momentum and confidence. So it's good. We are in such a fortunate position to have the bye week to kind of reassess everything, get everybody healthy. Because going into the playoffs, first 13 weeks, we felt really good about this team. In the last 4 games, we were like, so, you guys good? You okay? Is everything all right?
Right, this is Damon. I just want to piggyback off what you said real quick. A couple things, which I kind of agree with. I don't think, and Pat brought up earlier, I think he was hit on the nail. Or I'm sorry, Gail might have said it on the last call. And I said it to my brother, they haven't played prior to the injuries, right? Prior to Hurts going down, I don't think they played 4 full quarters of football, if you will, but they were still winning, right? And then all of a sudden, in the past few weeks, basically because of injuries, they've gone away from the run. And listening to Sal Powell last night, is the Eagles need to get back to running the ball, passing less, and obviously with the deep and playing a more man defense, right? And I 110% agree with them. With that said, E-Rock, do you see them, 1A, going back to that style of football, and then 2, with that, does that eliminate the fact that they come in sluggish and someone can beat them, but still holding the fact that they can only beat themselves if they come in with that formula? Let's run the ball. Let's play instead of all zone defense. Let's get more man defense, and then we have the wherewithal, if you will, to go ahead and steamroll these teams like they've been doing all season.
I really think it just depends on the matchup. And last year there was a lot of when the Eagles made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. It was a lot of okay, the defense is kind of messing up this game, but the offense carried them. Or the offense was stagnant and couldn't get it rolling, and the defense had to pick it up. This year's been a lot of, maybe not complete games, but you could see dominance on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
you could see that
absolutely.
both sides of the ball, and I'll exclude special teams because they struggled for the better part of the season. But both offense and defensively, they were hitting on all cylinders, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the matchup is, they have to cut. This is going to fall a lot on Nick Sirianni. If they come in with the BOGO game plan like they did against, maybe Indianapolis or the Saints. I still can't understand what the hell happened against the Saints.
Yeah.
Or they're going to.
I still don't have a voice because of that game.
Yeah.
They were hungover.
Yeah.
That's my excuse. They were hungover from New Year's Eve.
I don't know what happened, but you can even look at the Bears game. Doesn't that seem when things start?
Yes, E-Rock. Yes, man. I blame them for that game.
What are you doing, putting your quarterback in position to run with a frozen field against a 3-win team when this team is way too talented to be putting your quarterback at? You know what I mean? So it's just got to be smart.
Yep.
It's just got to be smart, whether they're running the ball or throwing the ball or what the defense does, whether they're playing back or being just be smart.
Yes.
And I think if they're smart, they'll get the swagger back. And if they get the swagger back, there's only 2 more games until the Super Bowl, and they'll get there.
I think Sirianni and Hurts are both smoke screening this week, E-Rock. I think that No, I said earlier that I've never seen any team ever in my entire life admit on television in front of cameras that my quarterback's hurt, and I've never seen the quarterback go.
It's weird.
Yeah, I've never seen a quarterback go. Yeah, all I've been doing is throwing towels. It's to me, it's such a smokescreen, and I think whoever comes in here next week is in for big disappointment.
I hope so, man. It sounds good. Well, listen, E-Rock, thank you so much, my brother. It wouldn't be an anniversary show without our big bro, checking in and hopping on with us. Thank you so much for your time, my brother.
You got it. And once again, guys, congratulations on 5 years, and keep grinding and keep up the good work, and go Birds.
Go Birds.
Thank you, go Birds.
E-Rock, Eric E-Rock Emanuel jumping on with us. When I sat in on their podcast, God, 5 years ago now. Wow. They had guys with cameras going around, getting the view. Each guy had, this guy read this thing, this guy did this thing. I was like, damn, man, these guys are. And I've been up to the 97.5 the Fanatics studio. I think you guys have.
I have.
Yes,
I've been at both.
Yeah.
WIPN and the Fanatics.
When you watch their shows, how everybody's
it's chopped perfect.
And Fourth and Dawn, when they were at the height of what they were doing,
right.
There was nobody touching. They were the #1 sports podcast in Philly. I mean, like legit on the charts, #1.
Right.
And it's because of Gail and E-Rock that they were. And I just thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys for bearing with me today. It's
great,
been
man.
such a great day so far.
For me, and I met Bob and we'll talk to Cuz. I hung out with Cuz, but it's kind of unique, and Pat and Frank can relate to this too, because we are callers, right? And so you get to get their perspective from and more in depth, if you will, right? And as opposed to those 2 minutes that we talk about. But I just want to go back real quick, TK, to something what Frank saying about the coach and the quarterback throwing smoke screens. So I just find it unique because word on the street was that Hurts could have played in the Dallas game, right? But they didn't want him to. Then they come back, Frank, the week before the Saints game, and say, "Oh, he wasn't medically clear." We're getting so many different things about this injury. I'm at the point you know what, guys, have at it, do your thing. If you want to lead people on, go ahead. I know what you're going to do.
Listen, the whole last 3 weeks to a month of the season, they have been completely and totally vanilla.
Oh yeah, that Giants game.
I mean,
me and Pat could have.
They knew.
Giants game was completely vanilla.
They knew after they won their 12th game that they were going to get the #1 spot. Didn't matter what happened. They were going to win one of the last 3 games. It was going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And they went completely vanilla.
Yeah, they did.
They haven't.
Nothing.
I mean, they have looked at times listless, and that's why the Saints game was so frustrating. But you look at them, I know they're better than this.
Yeah,
I knew they were better than it too. Everybody knew they were better than it.
Yeah.
The game they really wanted was the Dallas game, and they damn near took it with a backup quarterback. But when they got to the Giants, they knew the Giants were going to sit everybody. I mean, I never saw a line in any book where the Eagles were a 16.5-point favorite over the Giants ever in my lifetime. So that told you Giants ain't playing.
Again, to me, when I go back to that Giants game, that was the Giants B and C squad that was out there.
Yeah, but everybody knew that. So the Eagles knew they were going to win it.
They knew they were going to win it, but this is where I like to argue with my buddy Mike Laro, who I like to strangle, put my hands around his neck and strangle him. But
we had that moment last week here.
Yeah, look, I love him like a brother.
I'm not going to take the bait. Yeah. You've made me learn. I'm not taking.
No.
Yeah, listen,
don't fight.
Me and him like the master debate together.
Okay.
So,
oh my God,
I was watching.
Heard that about him.
I was watching. It was sloppy.
Yeah. So,
I heard that about him.
Yeah. He tends to do that once in a while. So, but with him,
I didn't know he did it on air though.
Yeah. Well, listen, he does it quite often.
Rails.
Oh, sorry. But anyway, this man will sit there and tell me that every game we talk about the Eagles. My predictions are always right. His is always wrong because, he's got the green goggles on. And, I told him, I said, Mike, I said, the Giants are going to give you a rough time. I said, because they're auditioning for other teams.
Yeah.
They want to make a statement. They want to be here next year for this what they believe a Giants run. They want to make an improvement. They don't want to be on the bench for here.
If your buddy Mike listened to our show properly, he
Well, he's
would
an
have heard-
idiot, so
he
I'm
would-
kidding. I love Mike.
He would have heard me say those exact words prior. That I said to everybody that it was going to be a sweat because those guys that are going to play with their hair on fire because they're never going to start for the New York Giants next year, but they may have a chance to get a position
somewhere else.
And having their name out there, that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, and so that's what, like I said. But
Especially the guy that made
and I have no belief in Minshew. I have no belief in him. He's a backup for
Mitch
Dudo, and then look, that's what it boiled down to. And look, Jalen Hurts not being 100% without Lane Johnson, that was a recipe for disaster. And look, we just beat them by the skin of our teeth. If luckily Giants had nothing to play for, because if they did, we would probably win from the 1 seed, tripling down.
But to your point as well, Pat. If you go back to that Giants game, it was evident. First of all, the Eagles are like 90% in the red zone, scoring something number they put up, and he throws the pick, right, Joe? Yeah. The other thing is there were lanes, and no pun intended, Lane Johnson, but there were about 4 lanes where he could have taken off, and he didn't. I was like, okay,
he doesn't. I don't want to get hit.
That's when you knew.
That's when I knew. I said, okay, I've seen enough. I know what's going on here. Because any other time, he's busting out.
I mean, look, I know we got the cuz about to pop on here, but I mean, listen, James, you've been sitting here for 2.5 hours, brother. We gotta get some hot pucky talk. You know, we gotta get some talk.
I said Flyers.
I have to ask you to elaborate on something.
All right, whip it out.
Because you. Because last Sunday morning, you called us fair weather fans.
Homers,
Saturday.
Homers, sir.
On his Sunday show.
Yes.
Called us
Homers.
Fair weather.
Not fair weather. Homers. Yes.
There's a difference between homers and fair weather.
Yes.
I miss 1 week and all hell breaks loose on this show.
When it comes to
I miss another week. We got guys walking out of the street. What are you guys doing in here?
Yeah, that wasn't my fault.
No,
and it goes back.
Messing around.
And it goes back to the. And it goes back to Bozo.
No one's
James,
fault.
you were good.
No one's fault.
And
it's no one's fault.
And it goes back to Bozo the Clown sitting over there. It goes back to Bozo the Clown. He sits there, and he don't think there's nothing wrong with these Philadelphia sports teams. Just like my man Mike, it must be someone with that seat, because you guys have these Homer team glasses on, and you know when these teams make mistakes or don't play well, you make all the make all the excuses.
Oh my God!
It's called being critical.
I don't have time for this explosion that's about to happen.
Yes,
no. Give me 10 minutes, 15 minutes with Anthony Gargano, and then you can rip his heart out of his chest.
Yes, this is Mortal Kombat land.
All right, let's see what we can do here. Hold on 1 second.
But there's no
everybody's
there's no dude. I want to talk some talk about you.
All right, everybody's real quiet.
Yeah,
we're waiting for the grand entrance.
I don't think he's a homer. I just think he's a very passionate guy about his teams, and he's the advocate here. He's the guy.
Gentlemen, on the line with us right now is probably, if I have a Mount Rushmore of Philly sports talk hosts, this guy is up there next to Big Daddy Graham and some of the other greats, at least to me. Joining us for our 5th anniversary show, 97.5 The Fanatic Middays host Anthony Gargano. Cuz, what's up, my brother?
Yo, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Now, Ant, let me go around the table. Usually, when you call in, I do this. Joey and James, they've been on the show a while, but I have here Frank from the Turnpike, or Frank from Collingdale, Damon from West Philly, and Pat from Ambler. Talk about a star-studded cast of callers.
Oh my God, Damon!
Guys, good morning. Good morning. It's the first time I talked to you on this Saturday.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I usually hit you up on Friday.
Anthony, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing, buddy? Hello, Pat.
So it's you know, I had this idea for the Pattison Ave Phanatics show 5 years ago. I mean, we had people on today from, John Crichton from 215 Live over at Wildfire Radio. I know you know him. We had Jim Chesko, who has Philly Press Box Radio. They've been around 8 years. Bob Cooney jumped on with us earlier. Gail Saunders, E-Rock has been on with us, and then the coup de grace. Yourself, we appreciate you, giving us some of your time on a Saturday. I really appreciate it. You've been on many shows, and you've been on a lot of shows. How important, and I understand that it's important, but to you, the chemistry of the guys you're working with, like when you first started with Tunis, I don't know if it was there or not, and now it's like it's incredible to watch. And I've watched you with the bro and Jamie, and when you were on with Bob and those guys, how important it is to have chemistry with the people that are on air with you. How much easier does it make a show go?
Well, it's everything, right? And here's the thing: you can't predict what 2 or 3 or 4 people are going to mesh and what it's going to be like. A show is always the sum of all parts, right? It's always that. You might have 2 great guys, right? I'll look. Go back to Mikey Miss and Howard Eskin, right? I mean, 2 titans of the industry.
I heard you
but
talk
they
about
didn't work together, right? Like there's certain things that it's about the sum of all parts. Like Angelo and Al work magically with Riyadh, right? Like so, there's a chemistry that comes with it, where kind of people organically know their roles and what sounds pleasurable to somebody's ear. So it's everything. Yeah, I mean it's. And Andrew Tunis is my man, and we genuinely like each other. Like I love the kid. Like he's my main man. So that helps when you like somebody. I love the Mikey Miss. I was very close with him. Steve Martirano, the guys that I've always worked with, who I enjoy. Then I think that helps make a really good show.
Yeah.
So I wanted to jump in. So one of the things so I'm Joe, but you may know me as Mark from South Philly because your call screener puts me on your call as Mark from South Philly when my last name is Marks, Marks.
No relation to Johnny.
No relation to Johnny Marks. but we wouldn't be a proper Philadelphia radio show if we didn't have a Kelly and a Marks somewhere.
You got to have a Kelly and a Marks.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I called you a couple weeks into the Phillies playoff run. I was telling you about my daughter and I lost my vision, and you had said,
Yes,
well, when
I remember.
me and you are going to get like a hug. I wanted to just
beat baseball, man. I remember all about that. I love that story.
I heard him call.
Big hug, man.
Yeah, I heard him call in, and I text you. I said that's one of my best friends who just called you.
Yeah. So one of the things that I can say from my perspective is, when you listen to talk radio, and you listen to some of the people around this city, from my perspective, who I lost my vision a year or so ago. Sports was my life and has been my life for a while. Losing vision, being able to listen to like really well-tuned sports talk radio with great people that know what they're talking about, it almost puts a vision back in my eyes of what's going on with sports today. So when we were going through the Phillies run, and when I called you and said, my wife turned to me when we won and we were going to the World Series, she was kind of emotional and said, well, my daughter got to see the excitement. She got to see the excitement, but she was upset because she felt like, well, I was missing out. And I said, I'm seeing it through her eyes, but more to the point, I'm seeing it through when I tune into 97.5 and 94 WIP, and I listen to, either network, and I listen to the personalities out there. They paint me the picture. They paint me of what they're feeling, especially when I listen to your show, because I feel like you are probably one of the more raw, emotionally driven folks
Philly
out there.
Yep.
Where you tell it like it is.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that because the South Philly, like, you got that attitude, you got that personality, and you convey it. So I feel like, and I've said this about this show, I said that we are true Philly fans talking true Philly sports. You're not going to get any BS here. You're going to get real passion, real raw emotion. You're going to either absorb it or not. And to wrap up my little diatribe here, I know you're worried about Hurts, and I want to like give you some comfort.
We have some theories for you. Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm
good,
sure.
Good. What do you got, bro?
I'm sure everybody here is going to give you some, but my feeling is this: this is a guy who's already mentally tough. The body can give, but what he is lacking with being 100% physically, he's going to give to you 125% mentally, and that is much because remember, there's 10 other players on that field other than him. If he's bringing the mental game, everyone else will follow.
Yeah. Okay, Gus.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a great point that you bring up, buddy. It is. I mean, he's got the intangibles down, right? That's been one of his greatest, I think, gifts is that, he's got every intangible. He's smart. He knows the offense in and out. He's a leader. He's got all that stuff. So, yeah, I think, I just hope he can get that ball out. And, listen, I think I got a kind of feeling that given a full week of rest, he should be okay. And by the time I think they beat no matter who they play the divisional round. And then it comes to San Francisco. And if he can be okay to run some of the RPRs, I think that'll be key because you got to have him to be able to, healthy enough to run and take a hit on the shoulder because that dynamic of that offense with all his passing weapons, it's so hard to stop.
Well, you had a guest on this week. I think the guy from CBS Sports. I can't remember his name, who said he had a conversation with Wink Martindale, who said, if I remember this correctly, he said,
Charles Davis.
Yeah,
yeah,
Charles
CBS
Davis. Right.
announcer. Yeah.
Said he had talked to Wink Martindale, and Wink had said to him, the Philly team's good if they crank it up. Good luck with that. And I was like,
yes,
yeah. Another coordinator's going, good luck with that. That tells me something about the team. Listen, because
especially a coordinator of his ilk.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like,
no, he's got chops for sure. You and I go way back. I was on your first Pasta Palooza. I finished 4th in that contest. And I brought my mother Carmela in. I don't know if you remember her. She's still kicking at 94
What was
years
her
old.
dish? Do you remember?
Yeah, I made you straight spaghetti and gravy, and I made a pork. I cooked the pork in the gravy, but all the guys in the studio ate the pork. You guys never got to get the pork. Everybody that was out in the studio tore the pork up before I could get it to you guys. I still won 4th place. I was happy with that. And I mean, to me, you've been an inspiration to me. You and I have very similar backgrounds. We both have grandfathers who were barbers, and my brother Jack, he loves you. I turned him on to you because you're such a hoop head, and he's a hoop head, So I mean, we go way back, and I kind of saw something this week that I've never seen in sports. I said this to these guys earlier. In all my years of watching teams and interviews and pressers, I never saw a coach or a quarterback say on air, "Yeah, he's really hurt," or "I've just been throwing towels." I've never seen it, cuz I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody admit that they were hurt on screen. And to me, I just think they're throwing smokescreen. I just think they're throwing a smokescreen. I don't think he's that bad. I think he's going to be fine. He was a little rusty last week. That was to be expected. But I think whoever comes in here next week's getting annihilated. Doesn't matter who they are.
Hopefully it's the Cowboys.
Yes, that would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. And someday I need to get in the bar and drink some beers with you, dude.
100%. I think all of us.
and that goes.
I would love that.
Hey, Anthony, what's going on? So listen, I got a 2-part question too, and I am like one of those guys at this table here that I'll bite my nails. I'm a nervous nanny, so I do feel though that the Cowboys, if it gets down to the birds and the boys, knowing I've seen just saw Dak put up a 40 burger on this defense, this high-powered defense. Does that wear you some with them coming in here, or you don't think that's that same production ain't going to happen again?
No, I'm not worried. First of all, a couple things. One, remember one thing. You remember the game flow, right? It's who was at quarterback? Minshew was at quarterback.
Yeah.
And you say, well, I'm talking about the defense. Everything works in consortium together, right? So it's kind of a game script, a game flow that happens and affects the game script. Think about this. They were in that place, that dome, controlled environment. Now they would have to come into Philadelphia. It's going to be, it may not be, Buffalo cold, but it'll be cold. It's not going to be easy. And, the front is built to stop the run. The Cowboys have not run the ball well. That's an injury along the offensive line. So that's kind of hurt them. And I do go back to their history. I mean, Dak has been a front runner. Dak is as every time they have been expected to do something, they come up small. And I can almost see the script, right? The script is this. They go down to Tampa and they beat Brady because the Buccaneers can't protect Brady. It's a bad matchup for Tampa. I think Dallas wins, and I think Dallas wins by double digits. They look good. And all of a sudden, they're heaped all kinds of praise. And I think the Eagles beat them. And I think they beat them, as long as Hurts is, close to, 100% or 90%, whatever you want to give you. As long as he can do those things, I have no fear of the Cowboys. I'm not a McCarthy fan. And I keep it real. Like when it comes to football, or every sport, I like to keep it 100%. Look at it from an analytical standpoint, not analytics from an analytical standpoint.
Right.
And I just look at this matchup, and I think it favors the Eagles. The one matchup that I'm fearful because I think it's a good game, and that goes back to the Niners.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So, and to piggyback what you say, you are Anthony. You are very, very passionate. I've hung out with you at FanFest. I've hung out you on my birthday at a Flyers game with you and the Tunis. Matter of fact, that was right during the pandemic year, right before the pandemic year. It was February 2020, and like right after that, it was, and obviously the pandemic. But my thing is with you is Anthony, you are pretty much the face of Philadelphia sports talk. I mean, you are one of the head Titans. I mean, hell, you just did a movie with Adam Sandler. What was that like working with Adam Sandler?
Oh, that was such a good movie too.
I mean, he's the best. Yeah, Adam's he's great people. He really is. He was a lot of fun. I get a little insight. It was funny. We were going over the scene. He's like, and the director Jeremiah Zagar is a buddy of mine. He is he's from 7th and South, and or 8th and South, and we lived around the corner from each other, and like just a real Philadelphia guy thrown through. So Adam is like a sports guy like us. Like he loves basketball. We talking hoop, the whole thing, football. The guy's a great guy. He's really down there. So it was funny. We were about to do one of the scenes, and he goes, Anthony, I'm going to be a bit of a dick to you. So don't take it personal, okay? Like don't feel bad. He was worried about my feelings, and I was like, dude, I love it. I said, listen, you have at me, right? I go, believe me. I do sports talk radio in Philadelphia. The first time I was ever on the air, dude calls up and goes, "Who's this guy? Sounds like he should be called Pepperoni on 9th Street." And I was like, "No
nothing
problem,
wrong with that,
bro.
by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with cutting pepperoni on 9th Street.
Hell no.
That's awesome. Cause so you got back to Philly because you and I, our lives parallel. We're both from Philly. We're both sports junkies. I've met you, sat with you. And so I remember getting back to Philly from LA and turning into back then 94 IP with you and listening to you and calling in. And one day, this was after the Eagles season. And I said to you, all right, man, take care. I'll talk to you next season. And you like, no, man, call back. Call back.
What are you doing? Like, listen, James, and this is a truism for all you guys, right? Because I talked to all you guys on the phone, but
absolutely,
I love talking to our callers and or more than just callers, like Dane. I don't know. We must talk twice a week. We've done
sometimes,
it for
over almost 20 years. 20 years, man.
Yeah.
I'm usually twice a month with
you. For a while, I get worried about it. Where's my man? Like,
yeah,
right.
Well, part of that is me trying to, to build up to the show. But the other thing, my question to you is, and I say this, I piggyback off of Pat, dude. You're one of the reasons we were saying this at the beginning of the show, like to call you and talk. Although you give us extra minutes, 2 minutes is not enough. Like there are games, cuz no, this is the truth. When I have to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I love the other shows too. We talk to, whoever, but some shows I'm like, I gotta talk to the cuz. And it's like because it's like we have to get it out. Like this you're actually a therapist,
Yes,
whether you
you are.
realize it or not,
Yes,
right?
you are.
100%.
And so to say two-part question with the Birds. Who do you expect, and you might have alluded to it, for them to play next week? And the other thing is, and we have Bob on talking about this, in regards to the Sixers, our Sixers, and we're going to build, because we like to read, and something you said this week you like to learn. I do too. What do you think that the Sixers will make a move? Nothing big, obviously, like last year, but to add a piece before during the trade deadline, be it a point guard or another shooter. And I wouldn't mind adding Carmelo, but that's just me.
Yeah, let's talk about that first. I think they're going to add something. I don't think they're going to add something like that. I think someone like that they're just kind of getting used to each other.
Gotcha.
Remember, with all the injuries and everything that's happened, they're finally getting to a rhythm together. I agree with you. I think they need a backup one,
okay,
at least for the regular season. I mean, in the playoffs, Harden and Maxey will take those duties, and maybe even a little Melton. But I think for the regular season, they could use another one. And if there's a veteran guy out there that can knock down a three, I mean, I still believe you could use another shooter off the bench.
Mm-hmm. They have a spot open as well, too. Mm-hmm.
I'm down with you on that. It's just a matter of how many, the expectations of the player,
gotcha,
and knowing that, that he would come in and, maybe it might be 5-7 minutes a game, depending on if he's feeling it that night. And I think they would add something like that. Cool. And I think here's what I like in the playoffs. I think San Francisco wins today.
Okay.
I think Minnesota beats the Giants. There's a lot of Giants love.
Yeah, there is.
And I understand it because they played them tough.
Yeah.
And I love Dable. I think Dable is a terrific coach. But I think what happens is I think Minnesota's got too much for them. They win. Then they go get annihilated by the Niners because they're a paper tiger, especially their defense.
Yeah.
Their offense got legit, right? But, I think the Niners would be a horrible matchup for them. The Niners roll them.
Cousins is
Dallas
schizophrenic, though.
Beats Tampa, and then comes here. Eagles annihilate the Cowboys.
Yeah, I love it.
Eagles San Fran, and it's a great NFC championship.
I like what you're saying. So Lane was encouraging yesterday, real quick, to hear what he said after practice. He felt good. Even without the medication, he's looking forward to it. His next rehab. Would you, on the very first play, when they do play next week, call a running play on Lane's side to break the seal? Like, look, this is what we're going to do, letting everybody know he's back and strong. Would that be your first offensive play if you were to in Sirianni?
I would. Maybe, but I think I would lean to throwing the football only in this sense. Like, I want Jalen shoulder. I want him to open up the shoulder.
Ooh, okay.
And I want to get him an easy throw.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get him an easy throw,
Goddard,
just an easy completion.
Yeah.
Just to open up the shoulder and start that rhythm. Get that. Listen, he's going to be. He'll be loose, but in game time, I'd like to just see him have an easy completion first and make sure, because everything we all know Lane's a warrior, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that Jalen feels good about his shoulder. Feels confident about his shoulder. I think that's a key thing.
Absolutely. Ant, thank you so much for jumping on with us. In closing, I just wanted to say, when you jumped on, I opened with you're on my Mount Rushmore of Philly sports talk hosts, and here's why. Because I feel like you're the guy I'd be standing next to in the deli counter going, did you see that friggin' game last night? And that's how I've been my whole life with sports. I don't want to hear somebody who, is like, not that you're not polished, but I don't want to hear somebody who has a shtick and who's, polished up what he does. I like talking to somebody who I think is like me, and that's why you've always been my favorite, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Appreciate that very
We
much. I
appreciate
You're my
you.
godfather as well,
I
Andy.
hope you enjoyed this little role reversal where some of your callers have
love
a
you
chance to talk to you like
Yeah,
this.
you've been in our living room. That was good.
Yes, man, absolutely. We love you, brother. Enjoy the sports weekend. It's going to be awesome, man, and we'll listen to you next week.
Give me a call next week.
Sounds good, boys. Go Birds.
Go
brother.
Birds. Later, cuz.
Congratulations again.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
fellas.
All right, Ann, take it easy, brother. Anthony Gargano from the 97.5 The
What a
Fanatic
show.
Midday Show.
What a
Guys,
show. You have been mixed masters.
thank you
I want
all
to salute you, Tom
for being
Kelly.
part of this.
I want to
man.
salute you and,
Thank
and Joey, man. You guys had an idea. I'm being serious, man. You really wow, man. This is awesome.
You were over there pulling what little hair you have out.
Just because I want to make sure
I know.
I want to make sure guys have a chance to
I didn't say it this time.
to express themselves and get their points off and you roll with the callers and one caller it's okay to set that up. Couple callers it's a little it's you know a little bit more work. We had 8 callers today on the show. And for a 4-hour show who rolls through guys like you and you and you who call in all the time, it's one thing. But we usually make the show flow ourselves. We don't have people on, so
That was unique. It was a nice twist today.
It was.
I learned something. I like learning.
Now I want to go around the room because my wife's going to kill me if I take any longer.
I know, right?
You know, and we all got to get our Saturday started. Predictions for the playoffs, for what team's eventually going to face the Eagles and where you think they're going. And I'll start. I respect what Anthony was saying about the Vikings beating the Giants, but I tend to agree with Joe Scores. We were talking earlier. I think the Giants are going to be facing off against the Birds. I think the Birds win. I think we end up playing the Niners, and anything can happen on any given Sunday. That would be an epic battle. So I go Eagles, Giants, Eagles on to the NFC Championship game. Joe Marks, what do you think? We'll go around the table from there.
So I'm kind of a little bit in lockstep to a point. I think the road to the Super Bowl for the Eagles goes through the NFC East. I think it's going to be the New York Giants, and then I think in the NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl, it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. And I honestly think that one of the reasons why I really don't have faith in the Niners, so to speak, is because some of the talent that they've played against has not been like of the elite level.
Joey, know the percentage to Joey's point is 403. 403 winning percentage. That was the number.
So, one of the reasons why I also say that, and I forget which one of our callers brought this up, but the competition in the NFC, in comparison to the AFC, is so much like sometimes NFC teams, especially like the Eagles, don't get tested.
Yeah.
The AFC teams have been tested. So for me, I think that the Niners fall into that same category. I feel like this guy. Now, I think Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback. I just don't think he's as tightly refined as people are making him out to be. Because I don't think he's been tested.
Well, he hasn't faced anything close to a number 2 defense.
Right. So my feeling is this. I feel like they'll win the first round. I think they'll beat Seattle.
Right.
But I don't feel like once they go against a team like the Cowboys possibly, where their defense, like Frank is saying, is going to be pretty vaunted for Brock to deal with. I feel like the Cowboys could win. So I think that the road to the Super Bowl for the Eagles goes through the NFC East. Giants and Cowboys.
James Scores.
I think the first game's going to go to. I think it's going to be Giants like in the NFC East battle in that first game. But I'm going to surprise everybody. I think it's going to be Tampa Bay in the championship game. They're going to play here at the Link.
Ooh. Well, I don't think they can. I think if
No, it would be if Tampa beats. It would be divisional round.
Yeah.
No. I mean, depending on like where the 49ers.
The only way that could happen is if
the 49ers
if
win.
if the 49ers
lose.
and 49ers lose and the Giants win. That's the only way that could happen.
I get confused by it. I thought I had it figured out, but go ahead. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah,
It's
so
up every.
No. That depends on who wins the other game. Yeah, but if
So
Minnesota
the Eagles
wins,
play the
Minnesota
lowest.
gets-
The Eagles play the
Minnesota
lowest
gets
seed team.
Yes.
So
That's if the Giants beat Minnesota.
Right.
If the Giants don't beat Minnesota, Minnesota goes to San Francisco, and we get the winner of the Dallas.
he's right.
The
That's
Dallas
right.
game.
Man, it is
okay.
that's
Yeah.
like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
No, it
Yeah.
had to get explained to me a few times too, and I'm like, okay, but
Yeah, there's a couple scenarios
All right,
where
well, I mean, that's be an interesting
20 years
scenario.
ago,
to
that
say
would
the
make
least.
that
We're
would
still running
that
down
would
the
make
fucking
that would make
sidewalk.
for
Fuck,
like
man.
a sea
If I
change.
walk past him, I would tackle him right now, James. Rondé Barber. Anyway, Frank,
That's why.
predictions for this week.
I seem to think the Giants are going to win.
Feeling it too.
It's not that I'm feeling it. I don't believe in Cousins. I just don't believe in him. I think the Giants are going to beat them. I can't see Dallas beating anybody else. I can't. I think that if they win this game, if it's one score at the end, I'm sorry, Tampa Bay's winning the game. If it's one score at the end, they're going to win.
Wow.
But if they have to go to San Francisco, they're not getting out of San Francisco alive. They're going to get killed. They're just. They're going to get killed if we play them. I just don't believe the Cowboys have it. I think they think they have it, but I don't think they do. And I think it's going to be the Eagles in San Francisco anyway in the NFC Championship.
interesting.
Damon Salim.
All right, so a few things. One, I'm just looking at the line. Like I'll admit, I've been watching Frisco from afar. And just to reiterate what Joey was talking about, the team that they beat, they had a winner percentage combined of 403, right? But I'm not going to knock 10 games in a row. I mean, 10 games is 10 games. Like that's tough. So I don't want to, because I don't want, if the roles was reversed, I wouldn't want people saying it about the Eagles. So I have to give them credit where credit's due. What I'm interested to see, like I think they'll beat Seattle today, but they're favored by 9, the 49ers. But I think it'll be a lot closer game than what people are giving the Seahawks credit for. With that said, I'm going to go the opposite way. I think Minnesota beats the Giants.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that were to happen now, and things stay as they are, Minnesota beats the Giants, 49ers beat the Seahawks, and Tampa Bay, as people are saying, beat the Cowboys. So what happens now? The Giants.
We face Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we face Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm thinking that to me is I don't know why it's a weird thing, and then we get to show Todd Bowles that our quarterback can read a defense.
That would be funny.
I would absolutely love.
That would.
I would love that.
absolutely love that revenge game.
And you know why, TK?
That would be
me
fun.
knowing you, we're kind of thinking because that kid, number one, he did not forget.
No,
that.
he did not.
Yeah.
And I know that's been in his crawl the entire offseason when he was preparing. And man, that's just me. I just got.
I can see him walking off the field going, "Read this, bitch."
That adds to Frank's theory that whoever we face the first game, whoever we face, Hurts is coming to.
Yeah.
He never talked
blowing
about
the
that.
barn doors off.
What's that? He never talked about that.
Whatever team comes in,
we're annihilating.
But believe me, he remembers. He remembered. I can't read a defense because now you're messing with his intelligence.
Yep.
Like I'm like, whoa, you said that about him? Cool.
All right, Pat from Ambler, what is your prediction for prediction?
Prediction?
No,
that's a great line.
I got the Giants going over on the Vikings, despite Gargano. That's just my. I just think that the Vikings are a fraud team. I just think that Kirk Cousins is going to choke. And when they again going against the NFC East,
the line is 3 points too, Frank.
When he goes against the NFC East, he always crumbles. So I think the Giants are going to win there. I think that, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to agree with Joe. I think the Niners upset the Bucks. I think I think the Cowboys upset the Bucks. I think the Cowboys upset the Niners. I think that's your trap game right there. And I think it's us versus Dallas in the NFC Championship.
Shades of 1980.
Wow.
It's going to be an upset today. I just don't know where.
On another note, I'm hoping the Jags at least win one.
Yeah. I got the Jags winning today.
Absolutely.
I love
Dougie
how
P's gonna
someone
pull it out.
put that. It's a cute little game.
Yeah.
And someone said that on the Kincaid show. He's like, it's a cute little game.
And then
to
it's
watch.
it's the real battle for the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be it's going to be Jalen Hurts versus Pat Mahomes.
I love it.
That would be a great Super Bowl.
All
But
right,
I happen
all
to think
right.
it's going to be Buffalo.
Predictions are
Yeah, it
in.
might be Buffalo.
Listen, fellas,
Whip it out, Tom.
what a great day today is.
Oh man, we had so much fun.
I had a blast. Thank you to every guest that jumped on with us. Literally I'm sitting here because of every guest that has come on that air and every guy that's sitting across the table from me. That gentleman over there on the couch, Joe.
Big
Scorza,
Joe.
He's one of the reasons I started listening to sports talk.
Big Joe's our guy behind the scenes, folks. He's the man.
Thank you all, guys, tuning in. People
I
like
wanted to say one thing before
Go
you
ahead,
exit.
go ahead.
I wanted to thank EOP,
Yeah,
and I
man,
wanted
thank
to
you.
thank Al Zafiri.
You beat me by 3 seconds.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I wanted to thank them because for a little bit, this show was kind of in a bit of a directionless manner.
Yeah.
And we sat down with Al and we told him what we wanted to do. And Al said, absolutely, the time's yours.
Yeah.
Kind of. And
Joe Sheeran reached out to me and asked if I would come in and sit down. When I seen how close the studios were to my house,
I remember you called.
it was Grace. Grace was going through some stuff, well, medically, and driving all the way up to Yellow Jacket Media, up your way, Pat, wasn't going to work. I thank Joe Sheeran for reaching out to me for kind of having faith in me that I would come in, and him and Al brought me on. And from the moment, because we were in a little bit of a hiatus with the show, the moment they brought me on, when you bring the show back, when are you bringing the show back? When are you bringing the show back? We're not going to stop asking you, when are you bringing the show back?
I mean, it was a nonstop
Yep. We brought
conversation.
We brought the show back. We're here. We've been here. Thank you to Al Zafari.
Thank you, Al. Thank you,
We're
Al.
going to talk about
Yeah,
a
of course.
fearless leader.
Yeah.
This guy, and happy birthday, Al! Just recently celebrated
Turned
his
40.
40th.
Turned 40.
And on a personal note, thank you guys for inviting me in just
Frank,
a little over a year
yeah,
ago.
man. Thank all you guys.
It's been a pleasure,
You-
guys. And it's great.
It really has, and the Freddie Burns too, like the hierarchy EOP. We love you guys. We're thrilled to be here. We're looking forward to 5, 10, 20 more years of doing this stuff, and who knows how far we'll all take this thing. But for Joseph Marks, James Scorza, Frank Finnegan, Damon Saline, Pat from Ambler, my man Joe Scorza over there, Willie Guns, Rob Swavely, Dave Yarnell, Paul Spencer. If you sat in this studio, I thank you all. I thank you all out there who even gave us a second of your time. Thank you to all our guests. This is the Pattison Ave Phanatics show, and we're out. Go Birds!
Go Birds!